What up, people? Welcome to another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. And I really shouldn't have started that out with just another edition, because no, it's not another edition. This is a special edition because, surprise, people, I have a guest. Yes, I have a guest that was not announced. Some would say it's last minute. No. This has been discussed. We just had to figure out exactly where we're gonna, where we're gonna put it in. And I figured right after the NBA draft, right at the very beginning of NBA Summer League, right after the couple of days prior that my New York Knickerbockers hired their new head coach, Mike Brown. And right after a certain someone from Glendale, Arizona thought I was ducking smoke and didn't want to talk about my New York Knickerbockers, guess what? This is going to be an NBA-centric episode. Yes, we're going to talk about the new hire for the New York Knickerbockers, Mike Brown. We're going to talk about the spat of injuries that happened during the NBA playoffs this past postseason with Dame Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton, amongst others. We're going to talk about the OKC Thunder and whether or not their championship is a harbinger of things to come or was a mere fluke, and a whole bunch of other things. But I'm not going to talk about this alone. No. I'm going to talk about it with my guest this week, host and creator of 19 Media Group's Hip to the Games podcast. You've seen him before, you've heard him before, and you're going to see him again here on this here platform. Desmond Powell of Hip to the Games will be joining me to talk all things NBA, and we're going to sprinkle some WNBA thoughts in there. And I got a new segment that I'm going to debut with him that you just have to hold on to find out to see what it is. So I'm going to get this show up and running right away because we have so much things that I want to get into. I don't feel like doing a preamble. I feel like getting right to the episode. So without further ado, you know how things go. Good night and goodbye.
Salty thoughts of Mike Steph, this marks a new beginning. Thanks for supporting a total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hide the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music, mixed for living. Rep New York City, but hate the politicians. Always bring the heat, Steph bacon in the kitchen. Big shout to y'all, I appreciate the listen. Donnie put the rest, but I'm still in the best. In the world of what I do, all y'all know the rest. I live it, I breathe it, I'm the whole definition. The pinnacle, the ultimate, I'm on a new mission. The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, the best in the world at what he does. Tap in.
Yes, we're back. We're back. And you see, I'm not alone. Mr. Desmond Powell from Hip to the Games. Please introduce yourself to the new listeners and reintroduce yourself like Hove to my master amongst others.
What's good, Mike? Glad to be back in the virtual chair with you. Hey man, coming after the like I always say, the best intro in this podcast game, man. I'm hyped. I'm even more hyped than I already was. But Desmond Powell, host and creator of Hip to the Games, the podcast that celebrates the brilliance of basketball and hip hop, past and present. So clearly, Mike is a friend of the show, and I'm always happy to be in his spot as well as a guest. So Mike's hip to the games. If you're listening, you're hip to the games in some form or fashion, whether you're on the more of the basketball side or the hip hop side, or you're right in that sweet spot in the middle. You're definitely in for a treat with my show, but of course, a show like Mike Steph's as well. So I'm happy to be here and be collaborating and getting these. I guess you could call them takes off, but I don't really like that word. Let's just chop it up, Mike. Like we always do.
Yes. I have one thing that I'm gonna start off with that has nothing to do with basketball. I'm not sure if you're a fan or not, so I guess this is going to be very, very impromptu. Have you heard any of? Well, matter of fact, two songs in particular. Have you heard of the two new CLIPSE songs?
Yes. So be it in Ace Trumpets. Yes. If you talking about
Okay.
those ones, yeah.
Yes. Quick take. Even though we just said we're not doing the takes, but how do you feel about those two songs? And you could separate an Ace Trumpets because that was the first one, and So Be It. How do you feel about them? Do you feel like this is bringing it quote unquote back to the essence, bringing it back into lyricism? Do you like the dynamic of Pusha still doing him, but Malice staying true to his new, well, not new self now, but pretty much his self that wasn't apparent in Lord Willing? You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
how do you feel about this meshing of the two, especially with starting out with Ace Trumpets?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really a perfect timing thing for them. I've been seeing some of like the interviews that have been popping up on my TikTok feed, and I just feel like, especially Malice, they're in a great place. I think you were kind of alluding to this. I think they're just in a great place, like inner. They're in a great place inward, and I think it's showing in the music. I think that if I'm being honest, Ace Trumpets is a little more I don't know. So Be It is more in my head than that song is, if that makes sense. But
No, I get it.
I think it's a great rollout for sure. The way that I've been envisioning it, like I really do think they can have a really big year. Of course, because it's their reunion and everything like that. Obviously, Pharrell's back with some of the production. They leaked even the other songs. The Kendrick verse has leaked. The Nas verse has leaked. They had that song with John. They got that song with John Legend. That's the deeper cut. I really think they're in for a big year. And the thing I mentioned on my show was like, I love that the thing about Clips is that they're very enforcing for obvious reasons, but even then you see the differences in their styles. And I think both of the singles that they dropped showcase that. I think Pusha is very, Mike, I was a big baseball fan growing up. Obviously nothing compared to basketball, but is it fair to say that and this just came to my head, but is it fair to say that Pusha and Malice are like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig? You know what I mean? I just feel like, one they're both power hitters. One is a little different than the other, but they are definitely power hitters. And I think, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think what really sticks out to me, I think Malice in particular, he's just in a better place, in a different place than where he was when they first, their last album, 2009. Like, I think he's talked a lot about that lately and opened up a lot about where he's been mentally and spiritually since then. How he was already getting that feeling that like, nah, like I gotta step away. So the fact that they're confidently back, I think is telling. I think it's showing in the music. I think it's showing in this rollout, and they should definitely have one of the better albums of the year for sure.
Yeah. When I like right before I press start, it just popped in my mind. I'm like, because to be honest, also, I mean, to bring it behind the curtain, those two songs, like I don't really listen to much current rap per se. Actually, I really don't listen to much current music nowadays. Most of the time, it's either oldies or throwbacks or what have you. So when
Oh,
I heard
we see the
them,
IG. We see the IG.
yeah.
Come
So when something catches my ear, that's current, even though they're from a prior generation, and that's probably why I caught my ear. I even say, you know what, let me check this out, and it gives me inspiration. So I'm like, you know what, shit, I could write a verse, and and prior to this, I was actually downloading the instrumentals. But regardless, like you said, they're both in different spaces, but they're both in different spaces from where they was at, but they're meshing together. It's not like polar opposites, as if you would have thought when Malice first made his exit, they would be polar opposites. Like, all right, they're
Right.
brothers, but Push is really into this, and Malice like, no, I need to do a 180 and go back over here. But now it's like you said, they're more comfortable. They're comfortable with each other. They've probably always been a respecting. Like, listen, bro, I respect what you got to do, what you're doing. You're not knocking what I'm doing. It's always love between us. But now you can actually hear it on record.
Yes.
So Push is still talking his talk, but it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say mature because he's always been that way, but it's a little more level. It's a little more grounded.
Controlled
And
aggression, if you will.
yes. And Malice is still showing that, okay, I don't have to do this, that, and the third to let you know I could still get my stuff off. Like, I'm still nice with this. And if you really pierce the words, pierce the lyrics, yeah, it might sound it's very commercialistic to the ear, but if you really listen to the lyric, I'm still getting my point across of where I want you to know where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
100%.
so yeah, so I, like I said, before we started, I was like, being the fact that we just described that Hip to the Games is a marriage of hip hop, music, and basketball. I was like, before we even get to the basketball, since it's on my mind, just to give the fans, the masses, a taste of what they can get on your platform, Hip to the Games. Listen, like I say, he not only talks about b-ball, he's not only a student of b-ball, he's a student of the music. He's a student, period. I really love having conversations with him. Sometimes they're visible like we're having now. Sometimes it could just be via inbox or text or whatever. But I've said it before and I said it again, he's wise but beyond his years. And that's why I always love having a chance to chop it up with him, because even though there's an age difference, so to speak, we can always talk on the same plane. And it's not like I'm bringing myself down. It's more, he's like I said, he's wise beyond his years. So I just wanted to give you that.
I appreciate
kudos
that,
on the
OG.
top.
I appreciate that. Hey, and that's what great interviewers do, Mike. Impromptu questions are some of the best ones. You can have all the notes in the world, but some of the best ones will be off top. So you kicked it off well, man. Let's get it.
You actually you taught me that, to be honest, because we had the first time, I think I was on your show talking about the 93 Knicks, 94 Knicks, no, 93 Knicks, no, 94 Knicks, yeah. And matter of fact, talk about John Starks. And after we had a conversation, and because I tend to ramble, or I tend to go on tangents, whatever. So on my show, I can do that because I'm like, all right, whenever it ends. But sometimes I feel like, darn, maybe I monopolized the time on somebody. Maybe he had a certain, and you kind of you gave me my space. And I remember you told me that. It was like, listen, if I see you going that way, all right, then I need to be versatile and go more into that, because it might be some things that I didn't even have on my mind, or which slipped my mind. So, and then when you came on my show for the 3.5 hour extravaganza, I was like, I can't cut anything. No, am I going to? Because y'all need to get all this content. So
for sure.
So I got to give you kudos on that. Like, I really needed to let the people know, like, he's everything I say he is plus more. So please. But the first topic on the agenda, the New York Knicks off season, my New York Knickerbockers. It's been a little turbulent. Not so much in player moves, but in just housekeeping, management, coaching. They fired Tom Thibodeau immediately after their elimination in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. And at the time, I was under the opinion that was not the right move, especially when it came out through various outlets that some of the players, it wasn't so much a revolt, but a lot of players were like, listen, we got through this season, but if you bring Tiz back, either people are not going to come in, or I'm not going to give you optimum effort because he's running us into the ground. I'm like, listen, shoot, there's a core here. You can't have people that's new to the core all of a sudden trying to get the coach out, and he's the one who brought us to this level in the last 5 years. Like 4 playoff appearances, 3 consecutive appearances, and we made step by step, and it seemed like the next step would be to go to the finals. But I say all that to say that we have a new head coach in Mike Brown, and my first question to Mr. Powell would be, do you believe that the Knicks made, at the time, not looking at hindsight, because now we see who the replacement is, but at the time, do you believe the Knicks made the right decision in getting rid of Coach Thibodeau and then going on a search to poach coaches from other teams that already had coaches? That was the
Oh
controversial
my gosh. Why are you taking the girl that's taken? Why are you going after married women? You know, that was my thing with the New York Knicks. It took you all that to get Mike Brown. When Mike Brown been out here for months without a job. You could have had him. You could have had him on speed dial. You know what I mean? Like, and we looking around trying to steal coaches who are in comfortable situations. Let's forget job security. Oh no,
Yeah.
come over here. It's New York. We got Spike Lee and Suni Lee and we Kylie
In the
Jenner
front
and
row,
Timothy
you dropped
Chalamet. We got all these folks. Just come over here. You'll leave your good job to come over here. I thought it was just ridiculous. Now, okay, now if you don't mind, Mike, because I'm looking at the show notes that you sent me, and now my thing is, if I'll say this, Tom Thibodeau, he didn't deserve to be fired. Like you said, you laid it out perfectly. I mean, 50-win season, improvement pretty much every year. I think there was that one season in between where y'all went back down, but then had to come back up again. But for the most part, like you said, there was growth. There was growth happening. The roster was growing. I felt for the first time in a long time, the Knicks front office and the coaching seemed to be ascending a little bit at the same time. I thought that was brilliant. And Mike, I'm old school. I just really feel like patience is such a weird. I think every human struggles with patience, but patience in the NBA is just in a really weird space because if on the surface, a guy like Tom Thibodeau, you don't just fire him. And I think it was more due to the rotations he was throwing out in games. And again, that also isn't his fault. He still, the GM still has to put a roster together that gives him confidence to play 10, 11 guys. The fact that he only felt confident playing 8, yes, that is his kind of stubbornness, right? I'll admit that, but it's also a little bit of that other side, like, hey, these guys just aren't cutting it. Guys 8, 9, 10 are still questionable. It could be any one of those campaign, Precious Achiuwa. It's such fluctuation going on. So, he felt confident with those guys, and even the critique with Cat. I really think the domino that really hit was when Cat was really struggling on defense and Tibbs subbed him out. And the thing is, it wasn't a bad thing that Tom Thibodeau subbed out Karl Anthony Towns. As unfortunate as it was, you make that substitution 10 times out of 10. If people actually paid attention to that game and saw his lackadaisical, almost, I'm being harsh here, but it was the first word that came to mind, brainless defensive rotations, you make that substitution every time. But he did keep him out far too long. I remember watching that game, like it was like 6 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, Tibbs, like let him go to the scorer's table. And then after a while, like, nobody's there. Commercial break, nobody's there. TV timeout, nobody's there. Before you know it, it's a minute 59, and now he's coming to the scorer's table. That's when I was like, Tibbs, you messed that up. You messed that up. So I think that single-handedly was like the last straw. I think Knicks fans, I think just in that, maybe folks in the NBA world too were kind of giving him that side. I wouldn't be surprised if Rick Brunson was like, hey, bro, like, it's one thing to take him out, but what the heck are you doing? So now I think when you see other people's reactions, I think it does kind of influence the front office to make a change. So again, I'm not mad at the Knicks for making a change. I think they did do Tom a little, they did him a little bogus, but it's a new chapter now. I think Mike Brown's a good hire. I think he's got plenty of experience. He has experience with superstar players. He has experience with upcoming teams. I think he can do a really good job for the Knicks. I think they needed a fiery, passionate coach. That's why you were seeing names like Mike Malone, even Sam Cassell. They needed somebody to match that New York fire. Not that Tibbs didn't. He just showed it in a different way. But I think, where they're at now, they needed somebody to kind of take over with that fire and really try to take New York Knicks basketball to the next level.
Do you think, and like you said, Mike Brown was always there. He was like, so for them to have to go on a award tour with Muhammad, my man, going to, Houston, trying to get Udoka, trying to get Jason Kidd, even though I really believe their number one target probably was Jason Kidd. Because,
and it makes sense.
You make that move with no automatic pivot. Because because a lot of people was talking about. I think what was his name? The assistant for Cleveland was Johnny Bryant, I believe.
I don't know if I heard about this.
Yeah, I think because he was assistant for us, and then now he's on the bench with Cleveland. He was a finalist for the Phoenix head coach job.
It's like I know who you talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody assumed it was going to be him, like being the fact he already had a relationship. But I was against that only because in the situation that we was. So yeah, okay. So okay, yeah. So you couldn't take a step back and have a rookie head coach and like, you know what, shoot, we got to 1 game to the finals, and then you're gonna give it to the rookie head coach, and now we're not getting out the second round. So you couldn't do that.
All these impulsive decisions.
But I really believe they was trying to get Jason Kidd. They figured that Jason Kidd was going to somehow, some way finagle his way out of Denver, like he's able to finagle his way out of other contracts. I really think what ended up happening was Jason Kidd was able to eventually, and I don't know if this is official or not, but didn't he get an extension in Dallas?
I thought so.
Yeah, I believe he got an extension in Dallas. So not only did they deny the Knicks the opportunity to talk to him, Jason was like, well, you know, I can make this ugly, or y'all can give me some more money. I mean, listen, it's not a rebuilding job, but we got the #1 pick. We listen, I mean, we got AD, you know, Kyrie. Okay, y'all
they got a good squad.
So do y'all really want to start from zero? Because if y'all want to start from zero, I'll make things bad, and I'll tell the team, look, I don't want to be here. I want to go to New York, and let y'all give me this. So once that domino fell, it's like, okay, damn, all right, now what y'all gonna do? I think they even tried to even poach your team. They tried to poach on Billy Donovan, didn't they? I think they had Billy Donovan for an interview.
Oh, they sure did. Yeah. They did. You know,
I just hated the fact that nationally on the media, in ESPN, FS1, the everybody, they were taking such joy in the fact of the Knicks are doing Knicks stuff again. Look, they got to 1 game in the finals, and now look at it. They fired the coach. They act like they too good for Tom Thibodeau. No. Oh, now they're trying to poach this one. Did they have a plan? And I'm like, why? And I've mentioned this in the past. Why? Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you this question. Why do you believe for a team that has been bereft of success for so long that the national media as a whole takes such glee in kicking us while we're down or waiting for that other shoe to drop? Like, yeah, see, they was up 14 with 3 minutes left and they lost. But meanwhile, like I think you mentioned before, I mean, when we was talking that, OKC did something similar. You didn't have that same energy with everybody else. So why do you believe that the media has it in for not only New York, but the Knicks as a whole? Like, we can never do anything right, even when we're up there, like, but why do you believe that?
I think that's a great question. I think it's because it's just right now, it's just easy. It's easy to joke on y'all. It is easy to be the butt of the joke. Like when you're, like you said, when you're struggling all these years to really get over the top, when you're one of the biggest markets in sports and you're still coming up short, because again, that is already coming with a championship standard, just because of the lore of what it means to be a New York athlete, what it means for New York sports. When you guys go up 2-0, versus Boston or whatever, what have you, y'all are in the streets jumping on light poles and stuff like that. Like, so it's easy to be the butt of the joke, because people are going to say, when you're excited, Mike, people don't like that. People don't like joy. I'll say that. People don't like joy. They and that's what the media does. They build you up to break you down. And that's the thing. I learned this in radio, Mike. Conflict is great when it comes to media. So that is why a lot of these companies are fishing for the smallest thing. The smallest thing. Oh, Tom Thibodeau had peanut butter and jelly instead of I don't know, Caesar salad today. That's why they lost. That's why they lost. Because he didn't watch his diet the way he could have. That's why they lost, Mike. That you're gonna fish for anything, especially on a slower news day. You're gonna fish for anything you possibly can to and like I said, especially an environment like New York, they're gonna fish for anything to get on you guys. So again, that's why winning becomes more important, and I'd like to think that you guys are on the up and up, especially when we think of the landscape of the Eastern Conference next year. Again, let's already go there, Mike.
Yeah.
Say the New York Knicks have a spectacular season this upcoming year.
Okay.
You know what's the first thing they're gonna say? Oh well, it's easy to win when Tyrese Halliburton with no Jason Tatum. Do that with Jason Tatum. Do that with Tyrese Halliburton. Do that with a healthy. I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but do it with a healthy Damian Lillard. It's so. That's why I do feel for the Knicks, because it's always going to be a problem, Mike. It's always going to be a problem until y'all do something crazy like three-peat. Like it's always going to be something crazy.
Yeah, because even the Boston series, when Tatum unfortunately had the injury at the end of game 4. Yeah, at the end of game 4.
Mm-hmm.
We were already up.
Yeah,
we were already
the momentum of that game swung y'all's way. Let's not forget that momentum was swinging even when he was out there.
Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, we were already up in the series 2-1, and that game was, I won't say it was a fait accompli, but it was like, okay, we was taking control of that game. Yeah, he was going off, but he was the only person going off for Boston. And as soon as that game was over, well, Brian Rindhorst. Well, it's such a tragedy that we were deprived of the ending of that game. We were up 8 when he got injured. I mean, on the play, he got injured. All right, I think we went up 10. It's like, I get it. You need a topic. They're the defending champs or whatever. But it was just like, they weren't. I highly doubt that they were going to come back and win that series. It was the best way I could describe it, and I might have said this in the past. Last year, the narrative in the West, right, was that Minnesota, in their run, the way they was constructed with Towns and Gobert, they were literally constructed to beat Denver, right? They beat Denver because that's how they was constructed. They was like, okay, Denver's the champion. We need to go through them. This is how we're going to build our team. Unfortunately, they came up short against Dallas, right? Because did they really think they were going to face Dallas in the finals, in the conference finals? No, but that's what ended up happening, right?
Good point.
In our offseason last year, the whole point of the whole reasoning and why we made the 2 big moves that we made, giving up all that draft capital to get Mikal Bridges, because he's boys with Brunson, okay, that's a plus. Is he a Villanova cat? Yeah, he's a plus. But he was advertised as a wing defender. We needed a wing defender to go along with OG to pretty much say, all right, mano a mano, Brown and Tatum. All right, we got our 2 to face up with y'all. Okay, bingo. Then that leaves the unicorn. That leaves Porzingis. We don't have nobody. You know what? Guess what? We have
Randall
problems with down low or whatever. We need a big. Mitchell Robinson, all right, he's what he is, but he's not an offensive big. We need a stretch big. Guess what? All right, we could get Cat. Fine. So now we could kind of neutralize Porzingis. Maybe not defensively, but whatever Porzingis can give you, Cat can equal that on the offensive end. We were built to beat Boston. Was a little short-sighted saying, well, did we really think we were going to face Boston in the semifinals? No, we probably thought, if anything, we were going to face Boston in the conference finals.
Right. Absolutely.
The way we're constructed, it's not really conducive to how Indiana plays. We can't. So that was a bad matchup, you know. So it's like the media forgets that. The media forgets all of that, you know. So for them to get out the East, it's since I kind of went all over the place, I really lost my train of thought. I ain't gonna lie. For them to get out the East next year, I think we should be the ongoing favorites, which I really don't like being that much of a front runner, like the front favorite, because that's just too much.
That's a big target.
Yeah, it's a big target on top of, like we just talked about, that people just love to kick us when we're up to make sure we're down so they can stomp us. But also, if you look at it, there's really no reason why we shouldn't get out the East.
Straight up.
I mean, Cleveland, okay. This stat, I don't fear Cleveland at all. Like
I said it on my pod. Folks is not scared of no Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And that's not me. I don't want people to I don't want our listener here or anyone to confuse what I'm saying. Evan Mobley, I love the leap that he took this year. Jared Allen is a serviceable big man, but again, they aren't strong big men. They like what I said it all year. What they have in athleticism, all what most teams have done is throw stronger bodies down there for them rebounds, and they can't hang with stronger bigs. They can out jump them, they can dunk on them, but when it comes to body to body, box outs, rebounds, things of that nature, they get outworked pretty often, and we saw that. But I just wanted to mention that real quick, Mike.
No. Feel free to jump in. Yeah, but I'm not. We're not afraid of Cleveland. Like I will say this. And this is no shade to Bickerstaff, who's doing a great job in Detroit.
He sure is.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I think he got the short end of the stick, because pretty much old boy that's the coach right now is just picking up from where Bickerstaff left off.
Oh, Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
But
I do believe that Atkinson is a heck of a coach.
Oh, yeah.
A heck of a brilliant mind. So that would be, if we would have still kept Tibbs, that would have been something to look at, because Carlisle, in a lot of ways, exposed Tibbs in every way he could. But with that out the way, Mike Brown, I don't see somebody, because Mike Brown is so versatile. Like, he's had the #1 defense, he's had the #1 offense. He, like you said, he's come from all different regimes. He's come from San Antonio under Popovich. Mm-hmm. He had his run in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say the learning tree occurred, but just that culture right there. And a lot of people don't realize that during one of those runs, when Kerr was out with the migraines, Mike Brown was studying that tip.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so it's something that it's going to be a short window, because I don't see Mike Brown being here 5 years. I really don't. But if we can get what we need to get out of him within the first 3 years, especially with the people that we have under contract and under roster, and I believe he's going to be able to come up with schemes to amplify the talents of the people that we have, offensively and defensively, I believe that's a plus. And let me ask you this question, because we made 2 moves during the offseason so far. Mm-hmm. The big from 76ers,
Yabusele.
and Jordan Clarkson. Your thoughts on those moves and how they could integrate into the roster that we have right now?
So yeah, I love those moves. What's funny is it's great timing too, Mike. I don't know when this is gonna drop, but when my episode drops on Friday, I don't even know what exact date that is, but this week, at the time of this recording, when that episode drops, I'm going to be talking about a lot of these offseason moves, and I really like what the Knicks did getting Jordan Clarkson. Y'all needed a scoring punch. It's one thing for Brunson to do what he does. It's one thing for Cat to do what he does in playing the inside out game, or you could really say for him outside in. Um, but there was still, there were times I was watching Mike. I don't know if I told you this, but there were a lot of times I was watching the playoffs and I'm like, we can't get Mikal Bridges the ball a little bit more down the stretch. You know, OG Anunoby, he's very on and off with it. I think, and he's just not a fluid, pure scorer like that. And then off the bench, I think there really wasn't anybody to fill that void. So now you got Jordan Clarkson, who, again, if you notice, he gets a lot of comparisons to two former Knicks, J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford. So just lo and behold, a part of this lore, he finds himself wearing the orange and blue with the same exact role. You gonna get shifty. You gonna get the buckets. When we need a run, we got you. Now, the thing I'll say to what I really want to say to New York fans is this. Guerschon Yabusele does not jump off the paper. He was out the league, riding the bench in Boston, went overseas, dunks on LeBron in the Olympics, and all of a sudden is this hot commodity. And he's grown as a player. You look at, to go through all that, and you look at what he did this year with the Philadelphia 76ers. If I'm correct, it's shooting 38% from three as a pick and pop guy, but he also can take that, he can pump fake you with the three and drive the lane. But his biggest thing is transition points. And again, one of the things that Tom Thibodeau stressed with the New York Knicks was, I need Josh Hart because he's the one that runs in transition. Well, now you have Yabusele and you have a tight end, if you will. You got Antonio Gates running up the seam. You got Tony Gonzalez running up the seam. You know what I'm saying? You got a target now to keep up with those fast breaks and somebody who's looking for the ball in fast break situations. So it's an energy pick from him, but he can play the small ball five if y'all absolutely want to run that lineup. Of course, with Mitch and Cat, you don't have to, but as a nice cheat code thing, like if you want to do it before the TV timeout, if you want to do it 2 minutes before halftime, throw Yabusele in a small ball five and see how it works. See how many transition points y'all can get. If I'm selling the NBA world, if I'm selling New York Knicks fans, that's my big selling point. I love the acquisitions. It took a minute to grow on me, but once I thought about it and I processed it, I said, okay, you know, this is what y'all needed. Y'all needed bodies. Y'all needed a bit of a deeper rotation, and I think y'all solidified that.
Do you believe that we need another big? Because
you saying like a true big?
Yeah, because in the perfect world, you really don't want Cat to play the five consistently. You know, if anything, even though he's not small, you could play a small ball five line up with him as the five, but and then at certain times you really don't want to play him and Mitchell at the same time either. You know, because it's almost playing 4-on-5 offensively because Mitch is only getting putbacks. You know, so
if that they gonna foul, they gonna foul and he gonna hit one or two.
You know, so do you think they need a legitimate big? And if so, based on the moves that's happened already, do you know if there's anybody left that would be a good fit?
That's a good question. To be honest, my brain, I feel like there's not a lot of fives left, or at least good fives. If we're getting towards that point in free agency where if you're getting a five, it's gonna be somebody who's young, probably in and out the G League, probably a few minutes in the league, but just very sporadic minutes. Right now, like you look at Valanciunas, the Nuggets just got him, and he's probably going off to Greece. Al Horford is contemplating retirement, and he's contemplating going to the Warriors. So that's out the picture. Off the top of my head, I would have to do a quick search, but I cannot think of who else is really out there if you want to compete with some of these teams that have multiple bigs. Because that's another thing I'm bringing up on the pod too, Mike, is that if you notice around the league, you know, when Victor Wembanyama and like Chet Holmgren came into the league, teams started saying, okay, we got to draft guys that can guard these guys. I don't want to put no 6'8" dude on Wemby. So you're seeing, so obviously, boom, Zach Edey comes in last summer. Okay. Right now it's like, okay, the big man is coming into style again in different forms. And then when you combine that with Jokic in the low post, Embiid in the low post, now it's becoming cool again to have that. And then now look at it like this, though. Dallas Mavericks have three bigs, AD, Gafford, Lively. What did the Rockets do? They just got Clint Capella, Sengun, Adams, Capella. What did OKC just do? They drafted Thomas Sorber because they also had their moments where Hartenstein and Holmgren were out. They both played where they were not impressed with how they were playing, and they were willing to put Jalen Williams at the 5. And I'm talking J-Dub Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Right? So they drafted big. So I understand. So to your point, that may be something the Knicks have to consider if they can't do it this offseason. Definitely start lurking around early when the season starts. Get a few games under your belt, maybe at the deadline. See who's out there, because you might need a true big man, because a lot of these teams are getting hip to that and getting 3 big men and actually trying to get 3 playable big men. So, like I said, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody. I wish y'all would play Precious Achiuwa a little bit more. I understand he's more like high energy, spot minutes, but yeah, that's just what I think.
I would be shocked if they bring him if he has an option. I don't know how his contract is. I don't know if it was a 2-year with an opt out or a team option. Mm-hmm. If it was a team option, I could see them bringing it back. If it was a player option, I could see him opting out. Like, listen, I know y'all got a new coach, but come on, like the last 2 years, I've showed that there's times that when I got time on the court, I did my thing. It's just y'all never really played me. Like that was one of the frustrating things. And this is going to lead into my next question. That's one of the frustrating things in that Pacers series is like, we're not asking you to give Precious 30 minutes a game. Mm-hmm. But when you got Obi Toppin that's pretty much pushing and running and which go and getting these free runouts, these free leak outs, we need somebody that can at least match him on there, or at least be like, you know what, that's my responsibility, is to make sure that he ain't getting no free dunks. He ain't getting no free threes. I'm more flexible. I can get to the perimeter and play him, because as much as Mitch just can't do that on a consistent basis, and Towns is lost. So I don't want to go back into it, but I have to ask you this question, because this is 2 years in a row they bumped us. The last 4 times we played Indiana, they bumped us from the playoffs. This is going back to 2000. But I'll just say for this last series, do you believe that the Knicks choked? Not so much game 1, because game 1 was what it was. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that the Knicks choked away the series, or that Pacers simply was just a better team?
I would definitely say the Pacers were the better team. They were the better team. You got to give credit to Rick Carlisle. I know it stings a little bit, but you got to give credit to Rick Carlisle. I think because what you mentioned earlier with the Celtics, right? I think somebody would say, okay, well, if y'all were so prepared for Boston, why couldn't you beat Indiana? And I think that shows just how much better they were. Because you I know you follow me, Mike. I had to eat my words with Indiana too. I doubted them the entire calendar year, the entire 82 games, So they have shown me that they are legit. I think there were so many times I was watching that series and I'm like, I think OG Anunoby is the only person in that locker room that genuinely wants to win this series. I think there were a lot of guys on that roster that, and obviously they showed it, right? Jalen Brunson came through in the clutch a few times. Cat had a big, if I'm correct, that was game 3. Game 3, it was like 106, 101, 100.
But he had the big fourth quarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
They showed it, but there were just, when I'm talking on a possession by possession basis, I don't think there was nobody that wanted that as much as OG Anunoby. And that's what got me with when it came to Indiana. I felt like, again, when a team is running and gunning you to death, you lose your brain, you lose your mind a little bit, because it's annoying. It's annoying to keep up with that pace. Like you said, it's annoying when Obi Toppin's getting free dunks. And again, let's talk about the box outs. They wasn't boxing out Obi Toppin. He got a lot of putbacks. He got a lot of, I think it was just effort. It was an effort thing. And I think the Pacers wanted it more. Again, I think we talked about this before, Mike. That is the casualty of playing for the New York Knicks. You are getting everybody's best game, because, again, the reason why Tyrese does this in the Garden, the story that is, you dream of that, especially when you're wearing that gold Pacers uniform. I know he woke up and he had his Wheaties and he said, I cannot wait to go to the Garden and channel Reggie Miller, because again, you live for those moments. And so unfortunately the Knicks get the bad end of that, but I think we certainly have to give the Pacers credit to what they did. Their depth, their game planning, and you know, their ball movement had Karl Anthony Towns in an island just looking clueless. So yeah, I think the Pacers did their thing.
Man, the one thing I'll add before we switch off my Knicks is that game 6 was so frustrating because only up until the end, until they finally just broke it open and just blew us out, it was like 7, 8, 9 points. We couldn't get over the hump, but never in that point in that second half, especially at the very beginning of that second half, did I think we want to win that game, because we was I think it was either up or down. Like it was only like a 3-point difference at half, and then they came out the third quarter, gave up like 2 consecutive threes, back up to 8, 9, and I'm like, yo, we played like crap in the first half, and we're still here. And then you just allowed that. And going back to the one thing you said about OG, I felt that OG, like you said, wanted it more than maybe everybody else. But what hurt him and what probably irked him the most was the fact that he wasn't getting the opportunities to take over the game as much as he wanted it. Like in that first half, he kept us in the first half. I remember. But throughout the series, it's like the times that he was hot, it's like, all right, he got 19 points, 8 for 12. I'm like, okay, if he got 20, 21 points on 12 shots and he didn't get to the line or something like that, like, you were supposed to be feeding that man. I've seen, but I think one time against Denver, he went for 40, 45. You know, you might not get that on a consistent, like he's not going to drop 35 a game, but when he's on a heater, you got to feed that man.
You got to take advantage. Yeah.
You know, Bridges, I'm going to give him a pass because it's the first year, but he got to, yo, you got to get to that line. Like, listen, if somebody, okay, fine, take it. I'm tired of all these fadeaways, sideways.
Yes. He's heavily reliant. He heavily reliant.
On. You in the paint and yo, if they get you, they get you. Go to the line. You're a good free throw shooter.
Yeah. What he needs to do, and I saw it so many times. He can add a couple more counters to his thing. There were a lot of times where he was driving into traffic and going straight into the fadeaway. If he ball fakes and pivots, he'll get the fadeaway on the other shoulder, and it'll give a cleaner window to the to the hoop. The second thing he can do is add the step through like his boy Jalen Brunson. Then you can start getting them foul calls because you're not settling for the fade. So I feel what you're saying. That frustrated me too.
It's like, dude, but what I won't say disappointing, but what was shocking to me was in game 6, how for the first time in his tenure, Jalen Brunson was taking out his game.
Ooh.
Nembhard took him out the game.
Jail.
And I dare say, and I hate to say it, but he took his heart, because by the end, but when Brunson gave me that little headbutt, I'm like, oh yeah, oh, it's a wrap.
Oh yeah,
oh, it's a wrap. He got you.
You out of character. He got you out of character.
And plus for the fact of you used to. The whole thing was they used to get old boy. Damn, I get them confused so many times. The dude that beat us in the first game with all the threes.
Oh, Nesmith.
Yeah, they usually put Nesmith to lock Brunson up. Nesmith was injured or was hobbled. They put it was like Brunson's like, oh, okay, he's barbecue chicken. Oh shoot, he's locking me up, and I can't. When I saw it, I was like, I swear, I'm watching this game. I was like, you let him lock you down? You didn't even drop 20? He had you handcuffed and got you out your character, taking the
Mm-hmm.
ball, give me that,
Mm-hmm.
and shooting in your face in an elimination game. Listen, I get it. I get it. In a roundabout way, I wish the next topic that we're going to talk about, the injuries, kind of segues into, because two of these players, one had an injury against us, the other one got injured afterward, but he was our nemesis nevertheless. The one thing that hurts me about the Halliburton injury, and look, shout out to everybody that which go with their injuries. Like, I don't wish injuries on anybody. There's a lot of things I wanted to talk about or post or what have you, and I was like, you know what, comments, or you know what, and even though it might be in a slightly joking manner, I'm not gonna go there, but I'll say this. Halliburton being out the majority of the next year, even if we played them, it's not going to hit the same, because either he's going to be coming off injury or he's not going to be there. So even if we play them and eliminate them, if they get to the playoffs, it doesn't hit the same. Plus, they're not going to have the same team. Miles Turner's in Milwaukee now. It's done. We can't get our legitimate revenge. It's done, right? At least for next year, right? But the matter at hand was, in parentheses, were these injuries treated equally by the media? Listen, hear me out. Now, Dame, this goes into the other topic we talked. Dame injured, ruptured his Achilles in the first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came back from a blood clot in his leg that a lot of players shut it down. They don't come back. They don't come back mere weeks after that. They shut it down. Like, listen, Chris Bosh's his career ended pretty much on blood clots, right?
Yep.
So Dame not only doesn't shut it down, he comes back like, all right, listen, I came to Milwaukee to try to get this chip. I came to Milwaukee to to play in these playoffs. I'm not going to leave Giannis hanging. I'm going to do it. And unfortunately, popped his Achilles. Now, during the offseason, like soon as not too far after the finals was over, beginning of free agency, news came out that Dame got waived. Do you believe? What's your thought about that tactic that they waived Dame so they can stretch his cap number? They did the stretch provision, but pretty much they waived him like, all right, you're not going to be any good for us next year because you ain't playing, or if you're playing, you're not going to be 100%. So we need your money. You're going to get paid, but we need your slot so we can bring somebody else in. How do you feel about what they did, and do you believe that could have been dealt differently?
So yeah, I felt some type of way about it at first. Because like you said, when you're one of the star players on the team, and he puts his body through the recovery and the risk of going through the blood clots and then being ready for the playoffs, and you waive him. That was the thing. When I first saw the headline, Damian Lillard's waived, it's like, I think Dame is getting the short end of the stick a lot right now, because I'm like, are we forgetting that he's still an all-star? Are we really going to sit here and forget it was 25 points and 7 assists? And mind you, yes, he's getting older. Yes, he's in his mid-30s. That's what happens in this NBA. We are in an entirely new, different NBA where a lot of these players, we're seeing a lot more longevity now. So the stats that they get in the beginning of their careers come full circle at the end. So for a 34-year-old dude, 25 and 7 is awesome. And he gets waived. Not traded, none of that. Waived. And so first off, that was my thing. Now, of course, in hindsight, it had, the report came out where it was like, well, it allows Dame to basically be a free agent and you know, pick his team and you know, they sorted out his money and everything. So really it's a win-win in that regard. But I did think they did him dirty. Like honestly, they didn't do him dirty because his money is still good and things of that nature. He'll have this offseason. If he wants to take the whole entire year to rehab with his family and his kids and everything like that, that's great. I love it for him. But just on that roster management kind of thing, ethical kind of thing, you know, morals kind of thing,
Yeah.
you side eye it a little bit.
Yeah. Like you said, I don't believe Dame deserves that. You know, and this has nothing to do monetarily. He's not losing a dime. It's just the optics of it. That, like you said, he came back and he did his thing, and it wasn't for lack of trying. He's never been a malcontent in his whole time in the league whatsoever. He's one of the players that, you know, I mean, a lot of times you try not to read into players' real life persona because, you know, everything is for the screen or whatever. But you know, he's one of those real ones, right? Like there's never been a time that you were like, yeah, Dame talk or that, but he's not. No, he's always been about his business, about his family. So much to the point that it took pretty much Portland pretty much like, listen, we ain't winning. You can leave. Don't feel bad. You can leave. We're not going to hold it against you. Because if it was up to him, he would still be in Portland.
Yep.
Right? So for him to make that drastic step, unfortunately, last 2 years, year and a half did not go according to plan. And then for the team that I won't say he swallowed his morals for, but it was like, okay, I've really made this move. And I agreed to come to y'all, and y'all did this to me. It's not even like y'all did it for somebody who's on my level. It's not like it's somebody who's like, you know what? All right, fine. We got to get a replacement for Dame. No, it wasn't a replacement for Dame. It was a replacement for the salary slot to get Miles Turner. Miles Turner is really gonna put y'all over the hump. Think about it, like really, like this. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, and like you said, people's like, well, you know, at least now, he's gonna have the opportunity to choose the team that he wants to go to, and so forth. Yeah, granted, okay, fine, but on the other side with Milwaukee. Who's coming to cold-ass Milwaukee? Giannis, all right. Giannis is one of those dudes that I believe people sometimes say that, listen, he be faking the funk or whatever. Nah, listen, it's just a coach. My thing is just a difference in culture, that something that may come off disingenuous. I really believe he's really trying to be down for the cause. Like, I got y'all a chip and I'm trying to give y'all another one. But y'all need to help me here. You know, I'm trying not to be that guy, you know. But is anybody really knocking down the doors to go to Milwaukee? If anything, they're trying to break Giannis down like, come on, bro. You gave them a chip. They don't really need it. You don't got to prove nothing. Like, aren't you tired of those cold winters? Come down to Houston.
Right.
You know, I mean, from what I hear, you know, reading and listening and watching stuff, I'm hearing Houston is really holding these assets like, Giannis, whenever you're ready, we can pull it. Whenever you're ready, we can accommodate to get you down here. Which, you know, I don't want to. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring it up since we're there, because I'll forget about it. If you was Houston, now that you got Kevin Durant, something we're going to talk about later, but I'm about to talk about right now. If you was Houston and was going to get, and you already got Kevin Durant, and you already got still the cachet of young players, and Ime Udoka as the coach, as the ringleader, would you pull the trigger on really trying to give the Godfather offer, so to speak, to get Giannis to team with Durant, or would you be like, you know what? I think in longevity wise, and culture-wise, if we can't do it with Kevin Durant, I don't think we should blow everything up just to get Kevin Durant and Giannis for a 1-2 year window, especially in the West. What would you do?
That's that last part. That's what I'm on. That's what I'm on. I know it's Giannis, but again, that's these NBA teams and organizations are waking up to this, right? The best thing you can do is have your star or stars, 1 or 2 stars, and a gang of high effort role players. With getting Giannis, you're basically dropping all of that. All of that. Like if they got Giannis right now, what is probably they gonna have a roster of 3 people: Amen Thompson, KD, and Giannis. Maybe a couple of young guys, but yeah, I don't see it. What Houston has right now, at least on paper, I don't think that's worth blowing up for Giannis. I know that might come off crazy. I just don't think that's worth blowing up for Giannis. Like you said, just to keep Giannis and KD together when KD's in his late 30s, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. At least with this core right now with Houston, you got some guys that are still young. You still got Reed Shepard. You got some people. Amen Thompson still growing. Sengun is still growing. If you have those guys and you can always find a 3-and-D guy. You can always find somebody that can defend. You can always find somebody to shoot threes. If you can keep that roster to a point where all we really need is a star, and you know what I'm saying? That's a good spot to be in. I think if you just go all in for Giannis and KD, now you're struggling to find those supplementary pieces, and that's why these teams get out in the first round or get in the play-in, because they don't have the supplementary pieces. So yeah, I just don't see it worth it.
Yeah, especially not in the West. Especially not in the West. The West,
Right.
I don't
Right.
care what anybody says about older players, whatever. The West is still a gauntlet, unless they're going to have some trades more in the offseason where some of these people from the West are going to go over to the East. Hopefully not, because I like my clear path that I see right now with a fully loaded and stocked up Knicks roster.
Yep.
Keep your butt over in the West. So no, I wouldn't do it. I've been off the 3. You know, got to get a superstar. Got to get a 3 superstars. Got to get 2 superstars. I'm on the type of time of you build and you have not strength in numbers per se, but yeah, pretty much strength in numbers. You build, you keep your culture, you have multiple players. All right, you might have your ace, you know, your number 1 guy. It might not be the number 1 guy, but what the NBA, and I'm gonna go on tangent, but what bothers me about the NBA, and they're getting a little bit better, but it was highlighted in these finals. What bothers me about the NBA media is they're still concentrating on the quote unquote old heads, the old stars. They're still concentrating on LeBron. They're still concentrating on Steph. They're still concentrating on KD. To a certain degree, even though the age is not there, the longevity is there, they're still concentrating on Giannis. Like, put that energy behind Ant-Man. Like the full energy behind Ant-Man.
Yup.
Put that energy behind you. Even though I know Jokic don't want to be bought. He's like, listen, I just want to go back home, be on my farm. I don't got time for this. I just want to drink my beer. Put that energy behind Wnba.
Yeah.
Like those play like J-Dub. He mad to come around part. Put him into that. You know, put that energy behind him.
Even the Wizards, though, if you pay attention, the Wizards have some exciting young pieces that, and I get it, they're one of the worst teams in the league, but again, nobody knows that because these platforms aren't saying like, hey, you know, while you're watching this, notice this right here. They not paying attention. They not giving no attention.
Yeah, so it's like I'm tired of anybody talking about trade opportunities and partners. Well, you know, we could do this to get KD. Listen, KD's been in the league for what, 17 years, 18 years.
Yeah, he going into 18.
Give it up.
Yeah.
You know, LeBron been in there 22 years. Like, this is something that I mentioned to Tyler of Gimmick Infringement. I mentioned to him about wrestling. of how, well, to me right now, wrestling is becoming stale. And it's not by, I mean, it's a lot to do with the product, but the reason the product is being stale is because you have all these characters that have been in the game, in the business for so long, there's no more stories you can tell with them.
I see it. Yep.
So it's like me growing up. Because, matter of fact, how about this? And I'm going to keep it to basketball. But it's like me growing up. And, okay, when I was growing up, Moses Malone was toward the end of his career, right? Because this is like 83, I think, was his last championship, right? With the Sixers, right? Moses Malone had a 20-year career. That would be like in the 90s. Okay, we're still having Jerry West at 45 years old, and I know he was older than that, but we still have Jerry West at 45 years old, 48 years old, balling, talking about, yeah, you know, I'm trying to get another chip. No, the league needs to be past you. So to me, that's the equivalent of still having LeBron. Well, I'm not saying he can't play at a level because he's proven he can, but 22 years, dude, 23 years, what stories are there left? Your son is playing with you.
Yeah.
What stories are there left? And people want to know why the interest in the league and sometimes ebbs and flows because you're playing over, and it's almost like Groundhog Day. Another Steph LeBron matchup.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
OKC didn't even get a Christmas game. OKC didn't even get a Christmas game. Yup.
You know, the only reason we get Christmas games because it's in the city, in the Garden. we get the early game. We get the 12 o'clock game.
Yup.
Even when we stunk, we got the 12 o'clock game because we in the Garden.
I remember Courtney Lee and them out there.
Yeah, they're getting like, oh, well, Harden's coming to the Garden. Booker's coming to the Garden. They're not talking about the Knicks. They're talking about who's coming to the Garden.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's one of those things. Like I just really because I'm not gonna lie, I was so disengaged from basketball up until right before the playoffs.
Okay.
I really was. Like I was like, listen, I don't got time for this. Like, you know, all right, when the playoffs come out, I get locked in. All right, fine. Knicks, all right, I'm gonna get locked in. But I knew they were gonna be the 3 seed from like All-Star games. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
There's no mobility. We're not dropping down to 4. We better not drop down to 4. We're not catching 2. We're locked in at 3. Just don't get no injury. Oh, yeah, Jalen Brunson got injured. Okay. And I know I'm going all over the place, but shoot, listen, y'all follow me. What's an underrated fact about why, quote unquote, Brunson and Cat did not mesh as well as they did at times in the season? Brunson was out for at least about 3-4 weeks at the end of the season. So when he came back, all that continuity he had with Cat in parts of the season, that was done. He came back. His mindset was like, yo, it's crunch time. All right, I'm the crunch player of the year. Like
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And it wasn't the fact that he was trying to be selfish. It was like, all right, this crunch time. I don't got time to be like, all right, let's try to rebuild our continuity. No, it's go time right now. Kind of messed up the flow of what they had before, but people didn't think about that. People just, oh, well, he pounded the ball, because in his mind, it's like, yo, it's go time. I don't got time. We don't got games to throw away right now. You know, listen, you fit in where you fit in. Everybody know how I play. You got to fit in right now because I don't got time to go back.
Yeah.
You know,
that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, people didn't think about, people didn't talk about that. Everybody, a lot of people was turning on Brunson toward the end. Yeah, he a ball hog. They'll never.
Yeah. I'm like, they switched up. I'm
like, come on, man. You can never win with him. Yeah, come on, man. Listen, nobody thought he was going to be what he is. So for him to even be at this point that y'all able to switch up is an accomplishment. Because y'all thought he was overpaid when he first got to New York.
Talk that talk.
So listen, miss me with all that. But second on the list, TATUM. His injury has actually changed the way that the Celtics are being built. Or should I say might as well say they're being deconstructed. Short form question, what do you think of the moves that Boston has made in the aftermath of Tatum's injury? And do you believe that Brown is going to last next season as a Celtic, or they're going to cash in their chips with him?
Yeah, they better not trade Jaylen Brown. I think you have to, if you're gonna make these moves, you have to see them through. So my thing is, even right now, right? They're sitting with their acquisitions right now. Obviously, they had to wait till they became official, right? A lot of the moves that were made are being official actually today at the time of this recording on July 6th. So, I understand you got to wait till it's official, but like, this is my thing. I've seen, so they get Ant Simons and they get George Niang. They trade Porzingis for George Niang. They trade Drew Holiday for Ant Simons. Now, this is me. Why are we even thinking about flipping those guys? And I get it. Ant Simons got an expiring contract. So, right, the sooner we can try to get him out of here and flip him for maybe somebody better, or maybe somebody that's a better defender to replace Drew Holiday. Like, I get it. I get all that. But we know that Joe Mazzulla has been a lot more offensive oriented, or I should say offensive minded, than Ime Udoka. So, and knowing you don't have Jason Tatum, why not keep Simons, who is getting you 18, 19, 20 points a game? Simons, Pritchard, Brown, for sure. And who knows, Derek White might even up his points per game from 16 to maybe 17, 18. Maybe he'll get a small boost. These are, you still got people that can do something with the basketball, right? So why not keep Ant? Why not keep Ant? And even George Niang, he's one of my favorite acquisitions of this offseason.
Okay.
You realize that, Porzingis was going through the stuff. He hasn't been the healthiest dude. So it's like, at that point, you didn't even get somebody that was that flashy. You said, we just need to stretch forward, because that's really all Porzingis was doing. Obviously, he's a much better interior presence than George Niang will be. That's still something that they got to figure out. But again, he fits right with the Celtics. Stretch four, he can get up all the threes that he's going to get. And again, you keep these offensive oriented players around him, he getting easy wide open shots from all this. So I'm like, if the thing I feared about Jaylen Brown was that he was going to have to come into next year and feel like he got to drop 30 a game, right? And he's going to have his career year. But I really do think if they keep this roster where it's at, I know there's, like I said, there's some holes in the front court with the big man situation, but if they keep this roster, I think Jaylen Brown can do a little bit more game managing. I don't think he has to feel like he has to get a crazy amount of scoring numbers or whatnot. I think this is a real still good situation if you're Boston. Let's see if we can develop some chemistry here, and then when Tatum comes back, we should be ready to go.
Now, while I hear that on a perfect premise that Jaylen Brown shouldn't have to, or won't have to, I guess the question that I'm going to follow up that would be, is he going to feel like he has to? If he, like, all right, everything around him is saying you don't have to. You can just play your position and we can still make something out. We might not be a championship contender, but we ain't going to be trash either. We can still make it difficult for the front runners in the East. But in this offseason, and whether true or false, there's always been that comparison: Tatum or Brown, Tatum or Brown, Tatum or Brown. Now, Brown, it's your team. You got that $300 million contract. Are you going to feel the need to, like, all right, listen, just like in game 5, like, listen, which goal? We not getting eliminated on our court. If anything, we're gonna go back to New York. We're gonna make them get on that bus one more time. Is he gonna make a concerted effort? Maybe not the beginning of the season. Maybe he'll feel it out, like, you know what? But if it's not clicking the way he wants to, maybe he's like, listen, y'all not gonna have me out here looking crazy. I'm not saying I'm gonna be selfish, but I'm not gonna be the reason why we're not gonna be at least competitive. Do you believe that that's a possibility?
Yeah, you're right. I can see that. I can see that. Because and my thing with the whole Tatum Brown thing is this. Like let's keep it all the way real. The Celtics fans did not get to see Len Bias and Reggie Lewis. Don't feed into none of this. You ride Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as long as you can. Because who knows what could have happened with Boston, how much greater they could have been with the duo that they once had drafted. You ride Jason Tatum. You enjoy every bit of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown that you possibly can. That's been my mindset. But I do see what you're saying. You know, if Jaylen Brown gets to a point where that aggression does come out a little more and he does start feeling himself, then your mind wanders. All right, what would I look like? And random example, what would I look like in Utah? What if I just shook the game up and went to Utah? Or what if I don't know, let me just go to the Warriors or something. You know, a dynasty that's transitioning eventually. I don't know. What if I go somewhere else where I can really shine? Because if I can do it in Boston, I can go somewhere else. I understand. I see what you're saying. I think, you know, it's going to be a long season. I think he'll definitely have those moments, but I just think, I don't know. I think he and Jason Tatum have done a really good job of thinking big picture. So I would like to think that he would channel that same mindset for a season like this. Like, okay, this is just a temporary thing. Like, while my boy's getting stronger with the rehab, I'm getting stronger in this area. Maybe I'm getting stronger as a leader. Maybe I'm getting stronger as a game manager. Maybe I'm getting stronger picking and choosing, you know, my spots. You know, I think there's opportunity for both. But man, that's an interesting question for sure. We'll see. I guess we'll see.
To round it out with Tatum, do you believe that he's going to be able to make a full recovery, or he is going to be compromised in some way when he comes back? I'm not talking about as soon as he comes back, because everybody takes a while to get their feet under them. But do you think he's going to change it? Like, he's been faulted for depending too much on the jumper.
Mm-hmm.
So in a roundabout way, if that's his game, or that was where his game was leaning toward, he should have a better than average recovery from this, because it's not like he's playing above the rim, more akin to Kevin Durant when he came back. Like, okay, you know, Kevin Durant didn't play above the rim, but, you know, easy sniper. Like, so where do you think he's gonna fall when he comes back from this injury comfortably? Like, not like I said, not let's say if he comes back to the end of the season, you know, he's not gonna be right, but let's say 26, 27, where do you think he's going to be? Do you think he's going to be a diminished version of himself?
Not at all. I think, you know, I didn't think about that, Mike. I think that KD comparison is spot on. Because what I'm looking forward to is Jason Tatum should become a more cerebral scorer. I think that's the thing that he's been missing a little bit. He's gotten closer to it, but there's still some moments where you watch him and it's like he's trying to make the big play. He wants it to, you know, and I again, at a much smaller level, I've been through the same thing. When you study a guy like Kobe and Mike over and over and over again, exactly. That is, you don't want your game winners to be a layup. You want the one dribble pull up at the elbow over the contested hand. You want the baseline 2 dribble pull up over 2 hands. You wanna get to the free throw line, pump fake, step through the big, like you don't want the layup. You don't want the backdoor cut. You don't want the catch and shoot jumper. You want the half spin, shoulder shimmy, fade over the right. Like you want it to be that. You want to, again, a lot of these young guys who look up to Kobe and whatnot, they struggle with the exact same thing. They come in the league, they shoot 38% because they're trying to show their coaches that, no, I'm dependable. I did my homework. But less is more. Yeah. Less is more. And that's the thing about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has for a long time understood that less is more. He is one of the most efficient scorers we'll ever see. Mm-hmm. If Jason Tatum can get in that bag, you know, I think we'll see a little bit less of the handle. Okay. That does put, you know, a lot of those movements do put stress on your knees and ankles and whatnot. So I could see him maybe taking that route. More of a less is more route. I think the back to the basket game is going to be even more important for him. Like I said, I really think it's going to be a lot more up here now, and that's the scary thing. Because Jason, I believe me and Jason Tatum are the same age. So like, you think about him being, he's probably going to be what, 28 when he comes back,
Okay.
29 when he comes back. He's still going to be pretty young, and he's going to be even sharper up here. That's how I anticipate his return. I think, to your point, I think he's going to get a lot more cerebral because he was already a heavy jump shooter. But I think he's just going to get a little more smarter with it.
Shoot, when talking about Kobe, the one thing I remember when I knew it's gonna be funny, the scene that I'm gonna describe. When I knew Kobe was gonna be that dude was when they got swept. I want to say they got swept by the Jazz. I want to say his rookie year.
Yeah.
And like in the last 3-4, it was like it was a close game, and he was shooting threes. And knowing damn well he wasn't supposed to be shooting those threes. And I guess he made a couple air balls or whatever, but it was the fact that he had the heart in that moment. Like, listen, y'all act like y'all don't want this game. I'm not trying to get swept. You know, and I'm like, me and my bro, we were clowning. We're like, Kobe was wild. He's shooting those threes. Like he wasn't supposed to be shooting. He's a rookie.
Yeah, he was stepping into them joints though.
Yeah, and nothing deterred him. Wasn't like he walked around with his head down. He was like, all right, I got you. All right, next year. All right, and then 2 years later, it was gone. He was gone. So that's the upside. But once again, everybody is not Kobe.
Yeah, that too.
Kobe is one of one.
Yes,
Kobe
sir.
mentality. Yeah, okay. That's a great name. You can try to implement it in real life. You could try to implement it in your life. But once again, that's one of one. There's no comparison.
Talk to him.
So you can use that as inspiration, but at the same time, you gotta apply that to what you're capable of.
Exactly. Well said, Mike. Well said. We got to put that on top of, I don't know, we got to put that as part of like the Los Angeles, I don't know, Constitution or something, whatever the term is. We got to put that, we got to send that video to the mayor or something, because folks need to know that, man. People forgot how one of one he was, man.
There will only ever be one, and I love the fact that his legend has grown through his unfortunate passing, his early passing and everything, but I get trying to show tribute and honor and everything, but listen, the best way you can honor him is use that mentality in your box.
Yep. Well said, Mike. Well said.
Use it in your box.
Well said.
Halliburton.
I was about to say, Mike, get into the whole where they treated. I'm anxious to see what you have to say about that.
Okay. Thank you. And this is going to lead into this. I'm leaning into my bias, so that's where this question originated from. Because I noticed a stark difference in how these injuries were covered during the media. Dame was like, "Oh man, darn," but they was going to win anyway. And dude, that was like maybe a topic for 1 or 2 days. That was it. It was like, all right, they out of here. Boom. Tatum. Oh man, that deprived us of. I'm quite sure the Boston Celtics could have brought them to 7. It deprived us of of a great ending. That game 4 at the Garden. Dramatic. And once the Celtics were eliminated, then it was like, okay, fine. Halliburton. I'm not really on social media as much as I used to be. Instagram, yeah. Everything else, not really. But you would have thought that there was an assassination that happened. That something unfortunate to me was termed as tragic. Oh my God! I can't put Halliburton. I can't believe it's like I feel so sorry for him and okay. The similarities are eerily the similarities are eerily similar. When KD popped his Achilles, he came out on a heater. I think he hit his first 3 threes or something like that.
Yep, sure did.
And then he went to the bench, and I mean, listen, it was a ticking time bomb anyway. But I was like, why are they icing it? Why are they? He's going to come back in the game. Why are you cooling that down once he warmed it up? And soon enough, when he came back, pop. Fine. Halliburton started that game on a heater. I think he was 3 for 3 from 3. And the unfortunate image of him being on the ground, being comforted by the trainer, teammate, opponent, and so forth, and he's banging on the ground because in pain and everything. I felt, and like I said, my bias is totally showing, but I felt it was more, even in the days afterward, it was like, oh, I mean, how could that happen to Hallie? Game 7, the opportunity to bring a championship to Indiana. Oh my God, he was on fire. And I'm like, whoa. Did we have the same level of compassion for Dame, who came back from blood clots to come and play? No, we did not. Did we have the same compassion for Tatum when he was trying to bring his team back? No, we did not. Why? Because he won a chip. For someone, and this is where it gets controversial. So these are the thoughts of Mike Steph and Mike Steph only. For someone to have the histrionics that he had leading up to this unfortunate injury, for someone who loved putting salt on the wound of somebody else's hurt and disdain and despair, I don't want to see nobody injured. And I'm not going to say, oh, I don't feel bad for him, because of course, because like I said, I felt the pain, because when I started doing my little workouts and everything on the treadmill and everything, my heel was hurting, and then my calf was hurting, and I'm like,
oh,
those are telltale signs. I'm kind of stressing my Achilles, like I'm putting too much stress. Okay, I can't afford. Listen, I'm a regular Joe that's trying to go to a 9-to-5 job. I can't afford to pop my Achilles, because then I'm out of action having to try to get compensation, the whole 9. Like, I don't got time for that. So I was like, you know what? I got to take a 2-week break from all activities. I'll walk gingerly, whatever. So that's why I preface this by saying I'm not really trying to. But when somebody does like this, all in front of games, I'm sorry. As somebody that was directed toward as a Knicks fan, I'm sorry. If you think I was going to shed a tear and have what's called more sympathy for him because of the time and place it happened, then everybody had for Tatum and Dame. Why what was it with the unequal treatment? Am I wrong? Am my Knick colors just showing in that, or did you see a difference? And maybe it was just the magnitude of Game 7 of the finals versus the first and the second round. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I think 2 things can be true, Mike. I think it is, it's the casualty of being a sports fan. Like, yeah, look, come on, Mike. What is the title of this show? You gonna feel salty. When the guy that knocked your team off, you still got that image of him doing that. You gonna feel salty. It's a part of sports. But I do think Tyrese Halliburton had a special playoff run. That is the difference. Did Tatum, Tatum was doing his thing. Dame, tremendous strength, right? I understand what you're saying. Where was the praise for Dame coming back, how he came back as fast as he came back? And there was that one game versus Indiana. He was locking up. He was giving his every effort on defense, something he hasn't done in a very long time.
And that probably caused a lot of strain on that.
Exactly. He was so in the moment. He was willing to give that effort, and it didn't seem like the media, gave him his flowers for that. I understand with Tatum, it didn't seem like the media gave him his flower. I think, but I will say Halliburton and Tatum's reactions were both so similar. You couldn't
Yeah.
help like watching both of those. It was like I said, it was almost like watching a family member. It was like, nah, like I hated seeing the way when they hit the ground. They had a lot more emotional, a lot more emotional reactions. A lot of times we see in sports when that happens, they grimace, they toughen up, they bite that lower lip, but these dudes were visibly upset. Like, no, I know what that is. That's an Achilles. They you got to break the news for it to be official, but the player told us what they felt. They know what it is, and that's why so much emotion was showing. But I really think that's what it is, Mike. When you saw the run that Tyrese Halliburton had, because let's be real, that goes back to the playground. If you can back it up, you do it. If you talk junk, if you can back it up. And I think Tyrese with the game winners, when you on a heater the way he was on, when you have a game winner in every single playoff round that you played, you have every right to do. Yeah, you want to pay homage to Reggie Miller? It's poetry. Go ahead. If you want to, what I'm saying? It's full circle in that way. If the step back versus Cleveland on the road in a game they should not have won. Those are like, if you got to put yourself in Tyree's shoes, like, no, I'm that dude right now. Yeah. I'm that dude right now. So I think that's the treatment, because you saw that it was every little moment up to the final game, the one for all the marbles. That's when he went down. So I think Mike, the Knicks grievances are showing a little bit, but I think you're still a stand-up gentleman. I know you mean well. But I think it's a little bit of both. It's the human decency, but that Knicks fan. You always say, Mike, you bleed orange and blue, and you're cut right here. It's okay. It's okay, to be cut right there.
Like I said, I needed to hear from a neutral standpoint, because anybody I would ask, it's pretty much like an echo chamber. Like, they're going to be a Knicks fan, like, yeah, man, yo, or it's somebody that don't particularly like the Knicks. Well, shoot, listen, imagine if that would have happened. Maybe y'all could have won if he would have happened earlier. So I get it. But yeah, that's kind of where that question was born from. Now, a couple quick hitters. OKC won the championship, their first championship. In I don't know if it's spectacular fashion, but in dramatic fashion. Game 7 is always dramatic. Question, pretty much simple. OKC won and deserved it. The deserved part, true or false?
This is absolutely true. I say it's absolutely true. Winning is hard. Winning is hard. And OKC got some tough wins. I don't care what people have to say about the refs. I'm tired of every time I link with you, OG, I feel like you always bring out the little more genuine, passionate side of me. But I'm just tired of folks acting like this is their first time watching professional sports. Yes, sometimes teams get away with calls. Yes, sometimes it does look like the refs are leaning a certain way. Sometimes, but at the same time, the refs had nothing to do with the Pacers missing them shots that they missed in the second half of Game 4.
Yeah,
they had nothing to do with that. Again, when we talk in defense, Mike, I always say, like, prior to 2016, basketball seemed to have a lot of what I want to say transcendent values and principles. Okay. So when I say this, obviously, like, again, there's a generational gap, but again, it's because the game has carried the same values for so long. But Mike, we came up in an era where, again, if you going against a Reggie Miller, if you going against a Ray Allen, you think I'm gonna just sit here and let him run all over the court? No. I gotta hold him. So I was tired of the people talking about Lou Dort. Oh, he's holding Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese can't do anything. Welcome to physical basketball. It is a doggone shame that for so long we've been without physical basketball. And mind you, Mike, when I say that all year long, people forget that the regular season was just as physical, which made the playoffs even more physical. Nowadays, it's like the regular season is a breeze and then the playoffs are suddenly physical. So now people are all surprised. Oh, Lou Dort is a bully. Lou Dort is a football player. Man, y'all would have hated the '08 Celtics. Y'all would have hated the '96 Bulls. Y'all would have wanted the bad boy Pistons banned. Y'all would have had them relocate and change their name. Isaiah Thomas would have been playing basketball in Vancouver. Like, y'all, so many fans just hate good defense. And that was my thing. The OKC should have lost in the semifinals. Let's be all the way 100. They should have lost that series in 5 games. Yeah. Denver was that close, but again, it slipped away. OKC just found a way. You look at the conference finals. They had that game where Minnesota destroyed them. And then the following game, there was some windows where Minnesota could have tied up that series. But again, OKC did what champions do. They figure it out. Same thing versus the Indiana Pacers. They figured it out. I think Mark Daigneault hasn't gotten enough credit for kind of countering some of Rick Carlisle's moves. I thought people were really just up in arms about OKC's defense when this has literally been the best defense in the entire league. They went 68-14, should have went 70-12. They lost 2 games that they should have won. So like, come on, we can't be acting like this team didn't deserve this moment. And I understand, again, Tyrese. A lot of people are saying had Tyrese played in Game 7, they would have lost. You still don't know that. Just because he got off to a hot start, don't mean that. Again, that was still the first quarter. The score was what, 14-10? Like, come on. Yeah, so I'm like, let's stop real quick. I understand it. Yeah, Tyrese looked like he was ready to put on a show, but y'all don't know that at the end of the day. It could have been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander makes the game-winning shot. They still win the finals. Like, come on. It's sports. So I definitely think OKC deserved it. 100%.
Okay. See, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of boycotting the finals. Because once my team is eliminated by that close, I'm like, I can't. So I was looking at it, but I couldn't get into like, game 1 is on the final. Like I made every reason for me not to watch the finals until I think Game 7. I might have watched a couple minutes or whatever. And then when I looked in, checked in on the notification, I'm like, oh, he got injured. Yeah, game over. But nah. I mean, listen, OKC deserved it. They beat who was in front of them. It's not like they had. Okay, let's put it this way, and this is just me throwing a shot. It's not like they won their championship in an empty gym, where they had no outside distractions, and they had boards of fans on the video screen and everything. They actually have to do travel. It's not, they wasn't in a quote unquote bubble. So yeah. So anytime you got to go through the rigmarole of the season, of the postseason, whatever, dare I say that OKC championship probably weighs a little bit more than a certain team that's draped in purple and gold.
They ain't gonna. They gonna like that.
Of course, I'm all about the smoke. Even though I'm straight edge, I'm all about the smoke.
Respect.
Another quick hitter here. I need what NBA offseason move so far. Give me one good move that you've seen so far and one bad move.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. I'm trying to go. I presume maybe outside the ones with notoriety, right? Like it's easy to say Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that's too known.
Right. Okay. All right.
Give me some hidden gems.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Like I said, best one. Cam Johnson to the Nuggets.
Okay.
Absolute. I love that trade. I said it on my pod the minute the semifinals were over. Michael Porter Jr., this is his time. You got to go somewhere where you can ball out, because if you're just going to sit and catch and shoot threes, and I get it, he was playing through the shoulder injury, so I commend him for that. But if you're just going to catch and shoot threes, the Nuggets might as well get a catch and shoot specialist, and they did that by getting Cam Johnson. And he's been able to grow a little bit more as a playmaker being in Brooklyn. He had to get his playmaking up. That's something he didn't really have in Phoenix. Didn't have to worry about it because he had Chris Paul and Devin Booker. So I compared it a lot like to Mikael, right? Like going to Brooklyn for a little bit of time, growing more individually, then you go to a contending team and you can use that what you've grown exactly, merge it together. So I love that trade for Denver. A worse move. I'm trying to think. I okay. Let me know if you don't want to take this as an answer, but I
Okay.
see it more like the Pistons losing their shooters, and they did get one in Duncan Robinson. But
Yeah.
I just don't like that because on the one hand they lose Hardaway Jr. and it looks like they're gonna lose Beasley. You know, we'll see how this situation goes,
Right.
but it
Yeah.
looks like they're gonna lose Beasley. And yes, they replaced them with more playmakers. So they have Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Karis LeVert, and it looks like they're gonna get Malik Monk because once they traded with Dennis Schroeder to go to the Kings. So it looks like
Okay.
Malik Monk is coming. So those are all guys that can handle the rock. And I think that's interesting. But I think with a guy like Cade Cunningham, he is a little bit in that Luka mold. So you need to surround him with shooters and 3-and-D specialists. And I don't think the Pistons did that. Again, I'm not saying it can't work, but it is a newer dynamic that I don't know all the way fits what Cade Cunningham brings as a point guard. So if I had to say like a worse move, I would say it's that.
No, I get that. Because it seemed like they replaced the 3 part, but they lost the D.
Yeah, right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
which guard? Because where did Hardaway go? Did he go to Denver?
Yes. He went to
Okay,
Denver.
okay. So yeah, so with Hardaway, even though he's a shooter and everything, first and foremost, I think he brings more to the plate than Duncan Robinson. You know, Robinson is pretty much a one-note player. Like, all right, if he's wide open, he could drain it, but he's not putting it on the floor. He's not giving you nothing
He's
on the
grown a little
defense.
bit. He's grown a
Well, he's
little
not giving
bit.
you nothing on the defensive end.
Yeah.
You know, so Malik Monk is a little bit more versatile. I don't know if he's not a pure shooter, but he's a scorer.
Yeah, streaky as heck. But when he's
Yeah,
on,
you
he
know,
nice.
so like I said, that makes perfect sense. Like I said, that's a hidden gem. Like some of your best moves are the moves you don't make. So, you know, for them to try to reconfigure that team, but once again, they're getting Jaden Ivey back healthy. Stewart's going to be, going to be healthy. So maybe with these new parts, they can, and Bickerstaff, like I said, even though he's underrated as a coach, I think this is not a slight to him, but it seems like he works better with, okay, I got this clay, and I'm going to mold this clay into what I need it to be instead of, all right, I got this superstar that pretty much is already made, and there's not really I could talk to him about. Like, all right, he is what he is. I think this iteration of Detroit right now, because Cade Cunningham is still in that moldable stage, works better for Bickerstaff than, okay, you got Donovan Mitchell there, and this no shade on Mitchell, but he is what he is. You know, he got enough cachet that if he don't want to do things, you're not going to do it that way. Like, listen, they're paying me to be me. They're not paying me to listen to you. You know, and I'm not saying that was the case there, but it just seems like it's just a better fit. It's just a better fit for there. Switching over to the WNBA talk. First and foremost, do you believe that can the Liberty repeat as champions?
Yes. Yeah, I think they can. I think that's been on there. You know, I know the Lynx are doing their thing. I actually was kind of sleeping on the Lynx. I didn't really like that. Oh, and funny enough, it's kind of worked out for the better, but I thought they should have went after Jewel Lloyd. Because in that finals series, that last game, Courtney Williams got cold. They locked up Kayla McBride. She had a hot first half, and she was quiet that second half. Fee, she can't do everything. You need your role players to step up. And so I felt like all they needed was another shot creator, just an extra girl to get in her bag a little bit and get keep the Liberty defense moving and whatnot. But they're doing their thing. But I like what the Liberty have. I think getting Natasha Cloud was a huge pickup. Huge pickup. So yeah, I think they have it in them.
I have 2 new Liberty fans in my house.
Nice.
My wife's job because one thing I will say about the teams that inhabit the Barclays Center, even though I'm quite sure everybody knows about my feelings about the gentrification Nets, but one thing about the teams that inhabit that Barclays Center, they do a lot of community outreach. So the Liberty kind of has a good relationship with my wife's first 4 charter schools, so they have a good relationship with the charter school, whatever. So they came to the school multiple times, had workshops, and everything. And then I think toward the end of the year, they invited because my wife worked at an old girls' school, so they invited them to the game or whatever, and then had tickets or whatever. So my wife went to a game with my daughter, with my youngest daughter, Main Event K, and and like my wife is not really a sports person per se, but she said she really enjoyed herself. So
that's awesome.
So
they got the best mascot in the league too. So
yeah, the W made a sports fan, a basketball fan of my wife. My wife was like, I would be willing to go again, and I can't get her to go to a baseball game or a football game, but she's willing to go to a Liberty game. And
that's awesome.
Like I've rocked with the Liberty since the original Liberty Teaspoon was there, So even though I might not be that engrossed in the W, but at the same time, that's still home team, and and I keep abreast of what's going on. So but yeah, I was happy that they won. I didn't go to the parade because I was like, look, I'm not gonna be a fraud. Meaning, okay, I like the Liberty. I'm a fan of Liberty. I'm a fan of the W, but I'm not hardcore. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to the parade. Plus, I can't go to a parade until one of my main teams give a parade. I've never gone to a parade.
Oh, okay.
Because none of my teams, the Mets are the only team that's won a championship since I've been born, and I was 10 when so I couldn't go to the parade. I just knew we was gonna go to the parade this year. I knew the Knicks were gonna get to the parade, but that didn't happen. If the Jets ever win, oh my God, sure. I listen. No, I'm not breaking my vow of no alcohol or nothing, but still, it's gonna be tempting. But so I was like, you know what? Until one of my main squeezes get it, I'll say this though. For all the years in the history of the Liberty, especially when they first came into league and the times they got to the finals and they just came up short, got knocked out by the Comets and Cynthia Cooper and them. I'm so happy they was finally able to do the damn thing, know. So that was a plus. And with that off their back, that's why I don't see any problem with them repeating. Because it's like, even though this collection didn't have to deal with the history of the Liberty, it's just like at the same time they got the confidence. Like, yo, we just won. We went to back-to-back finals. We won one. We lost one. Shoot, all the other teams ain't what they used to be, except for maybe this one right here.
Yeah,
because she a problem.
They sleep. A lot of people I felt like put the Indiana Fever on this mediocre thing, and yes, they started out that way. And obviously, Caitlin Clark, she was out the lineup a few times. She'd been out the lineup, so yeah, obviously that's gonna show in their record. But I knew it day one. I'm like, I don't think people understand what kind of team they got over there. Like, they gonna be a problem for some years to come.
Yeah, because they did what any competent franchise should do. It's like, all right, we got this star, not budding star. We got this star, and we're going to maximize our opportunity right now. We're going to put all the pieces we need to surround her so she can be the best version of her and she can amplify everybody around her. We're going to give her better coaching. We're going to give her a veteran presence. We're going to give her some toughness so she don't got to worry about, all right, you stand up for yourself. Somebody got your back.
Yep.
You know, they put everything around her. So they might not get it this year. And of course, because I'm rooting for the Liberty, I don't want them to get it this year. But best believe in the next 3 years, if they can't continue on this pattern, she's gonna get a chip.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna get a chip.
Mm-hmm.
That leads into favorite player right now in the W.
Does it just have to be one? Can I give you 4?
Yeah,
or maybe
like
a top 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta go Sky Dig. I've been rocking with Sky Dig since Notre Dame. She had me as a high school freshman already trying to get to, when my hoop dreams and stuff were still alive. She had me. I had a quick phase where I wanted to go to Notre Dame. Cause I loved how they played. They had such scrappiness to them. They have great history, great culture. Sky, she was really, especially back then, she's shown it in the WNBA kind of on and off, but she had a heck of a knack to get steals. And I'm a defense guy, so I loved watching her do that. So yeah, I've been a fan of Sky Dig for a long time. Then like I said, I go Natasha Cloud. I mean, you talk about the absolute teammate you want to play with, the absolute person you would want in your corner. She locks up, great leader, great floor general, isn't for the bull, like you just said, she'll stick up for her teammates, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just love everything about T Cloud. Then I'll go Nafisa Collier. I like Nafisa Collier. She obviously she's a lot like, I think I see a lot of myself in her because she always goes to the post. Like my homies make fun of me all the time because when we hoop, they know I'm going to my Kobe post fade and stuff like that. And mind you, I'm not a tall dude. I am 5'8", so like I'm a tiny, like I don't know how people see it, with the podcast and everything, but I'm not the biggest guy. Like if you saw me in person, I'm not the biggest dude.
I thought just by the stature from here up, I was like, yeah, he probably about 6'1".
It's easy to have a 6'1" confidence on camera, but I am not the biggest dude at all. So it's always funny. Like they always know, like Des going to his fade, he going to his drifter, and it works. It works, but I think Nafisa is the same way. She always going to the post. She said it numerous times in Unrivaled. She was like, all I got to do is get to my spot and it's over. And I love that about her game. She's a great defender. One of the best players in the league right now. She's tearing it up. I love her game. And then lastly, obviously I got to go hometown. I got to go Angel Reese. I had a post last year. I had an episode talking about the WNBA, and I had a post that was at the peak, and oh my gosh, I hated it, but it was at the peak. It was at the peak of the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark stuff.
Okay.
And mind you, Mike, a lot of my stuff, if it goes quote unquote viral, if it gets any taste of virality, it's going to be TikTok and maybe YouTube Shorts. Yeah. But this one went crazy on Twitter, so I knew already off rip it was a different kind of thing. Man, all I did, mind you, Mike, my platform, I was showing love. I was showing love to Angel Reese. And, I compared her to Candace. I said, I think if when she really develops her game, she's going to be as versatile as Candace, but she's going to have like that Rebecca Brunson type rebounding skill. Okay. And mind you, now that's kind of aged pretty well. I was wrong about her being a shot blocker. I thought, given some of the stuff I saw at LSU, I was hoping that she would turn it a little bit more into a interior defender. But outside of that, she's been good. The jump shot has gotten a little better. She's gotten more confident around the basket, but I think even more so, they're not sticking her in the post. She's bringing the ball up. She's operating as more of a point forward, and it suits her better. And I think that's the kind of player she was in high school. There was that clip of her, like in high school, she was saying, I like getting my teammates involved. Now the Sky have finally kind of figured that out, and she's really a versatile presence. So, she's definitely one of my favorites to watch as well.
Is she one of those players that got to get a running start to the basket? Because
I think so.
Because I swear offline, well, off camera, I crack so many jokes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just feel like being a troll when it comes to that. But it just seems like, because what you just mentioned, I was like, you know what, that makes sense. Because it seems like her being in the post and having to, it's like that doesn't really, you would think that fits her, but that doesn't fit her. Like she needs to drive.
Yeah,
And
she's great. Yup, she's great off the catch, jab step. I'm by you, straight to the lane. She's good in the post when she's patient. I'll give her that. When she's patient, she's great. But when she's rushing, it just looks it looks bad. But she's kind of found a middle ground.
Because you've seen some of those clips on TikTok, with the me bounds and I would listen. I give a props like, oh, y'all gonna troll me? Guess what? I'm gonna make some bread off this troll. Guess what? How about that? I'm like, you know what? Salute to you. Yeah, make them eat it. Make them eat it. Like, all right, yeah, you had fun, but you just put money in my pocket. Thanks for the idea. Good luck.
Yep, straight up. How would you answer it though, Mike? Who your favorite team? Or you said the Liberty, but who's your favorite player right now?
I've always been, because this goes back. I've always been partial to Sky Dig, from Notre Dame. Somebody's mentioned this, and it's so true. If social media was back then what it is now, when she was coming out,
it kind of was. She just didn't get the NIL,
But yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I guess that's the whole combo with everything. The way they're able to do it now. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of other things that go along with it, but maybe she would have had that same impact coming in as Caitlin and Rich Gordon and Angel came in. Now, my second, and this is based on, I really like them as a human being. And they're nice too, but I can't say I'm totally locked in on their game, but they was in college long enough that I'm been very aware. Paige Breckers.
Oh, how did I forget Paige? Yup. She tearing it up right now.
I just before she even got into the league, just the more that I heard her talk and really put herself out there, I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
She do everything right. She do everything right.
And I would go. I'll just leave it to those two right now. I like Stewie. I did like back in the day. Maya Moore was a monster.
Oh, Maya was cold. And see, if we going back in the day, Tamika Catching she was mine, man. She was cold. She was cold on defense.
Yeah. So
but oh my gosh, how we not even say Asia Wilson? How did I not include Asia Wilson? I'm tripping.
See. Yeah. But to be honest, like I said, I watch what I watch, so I can't really say I watch so much of her games that I'm like, yo, that's, I don't know. It's like I said, with Sky is based on college, like, and I followed her.
Yeah.
With Paige is based on college and also just interviews. Like, you know what? I'm interested in her story. I like her back, like what's going on there, like social wise or whatever. Plus, she's nice. Yeah. But with Asia, like, I guess because like it's just like, okay, yeah. When I'm watching her, I'm watching it against Liberty, and I want them to beat her. So I'm like,
oh, I understand.
Like, don't get me wrong, she got game, but it's like, I'm not really watching you. Like, damn, yo, Stu, you can't handle that. You can't handle that. Nah, you can't handle that. I get. That's why she got a shoe and you don't.
It makes sense.
But yeah, but yeah. So I would just leave it down to them.
Okay.
Last but not least, before we wrap this up, is a new segment. Something that just came to my mind when I was doing my little 4.5 mile walk, and I was like, you know what, this would be interesting just to go off the beaten path, because sometimes, as much as I love talking about sports, I always gotta I gotta do something just a little bit different. But I gotta keep myself in a respectful mind, because like I love when this brother does album breakdowns.
Oh,
He did an album breakdown for the Wu-Tang Into the 36 Chambers, right? And he's breaking down songs, breaking down Cream, Mystery Chess Boxing, the whole nine, and he let it be known up front, like, listen, I know the lyrics say this, as in, but because I'm going to, and what I'm talking about, but all because they said it don't mean I gotta repeat it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm which go I'm gonna hold myself to a certain standard that I'm not compromising that just to get some content. We're gonna do the best of both worlds. So with that being said, and which go sometimes I had to check myself sometimes, because I'm like, on camera, like I've cut down the amount of cursing that I've had in real life in like probably 75% of my real life. Like, I don't. But then when I get on camera and get animated and everything, it comes out, and I'm like, and I'll listen. I'm like, come on, Mike, you don't even really be doing all that when, So I say all that to say, which go, listen, I know how Brother Powell, which go, is built and does. So as y'all notice, not one F-bomb, because that would be disrespectful to my host, and plus I'm trying to build myself back the way I had myself taken care of. But I say
respect
to say that even with that being said, I still got to get something a little off. I remember when I had you on, and I was talking about, matter of fact, I was discussing about Akinelli's song "I Love Her." Right now,
I still be thinking about that, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, right. So I remember Mo, because when he was on, I actually got in depth with him about the actual song, and I'm so glad. I know he's glad there was only audio only, because I can imagine his face. Matter of fact, we were doing it on Zoom, so I saw his face, but so he said when I brought that up, he thought I was going there, but I was like, no, I just using the
I'm did using all that
title. And he was like, darn, I really thought you. I was like, come on, you know, I wasn't going to do that. Like, I'm not going to put Dez in a compromising position. Like, nah. But it was a good pump fake. So
no, for sure.
So I say all that. I just gotta get my little jokes off, whatever, in a little bit way. So this or that. So it's more like word association. I'm gonna give 2, 4, 6. I have eight this or that's, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna ask you, which one do you prefer? So
okay,
number one, and this would be basketball wise.
Okay,
Spalding or Wilson?
It's funny. We did this. I did this on my show, and I still don't even remember what I said. I'm gonna go Wilson, because it's pretty much what you grow up with. I've had some Spaldings, and Spalding is OG. Spalding is OG, but I gotta go Wilson just because I've had more experience with a Wilson.
Okay, and I'm gonna double down on that and ask, do you like? I don't even know which the terminology for it, but the polyurethane ball, or you like the hard rubber?
Oh, what is that first one? Like, can you explain the difference?
Like, I guess like the legitimate NBA ball, or how you got the similar to like the Five Below basketballs that are just like straight plastic rubber.
I see what you're saying. Like, there's like no grip. There's like no grip to it.
Like, they got grip, but they bouncy like what. They're basketball. They're technically a basketball, but they ain't the legit basketball.
Yeah, I can't get with those. I can't get with those. Like I gotta like and it's something like off rip when you catch it and you hold it with two hands, you already know. Like so yeah, I can't get with those. It's gotta be a nice, again, you don't want one that's like every time you dribble is gonna come up to your ear, but like at the same time you don't want nothing too smooth.
Yeah.
Or too, it's got to meet in the middle. Again, I think Wilson Evolutions, if I'm correct, those ones be like perfect. I think that's why a lot of people like those. So yeah.
All right. Next one, sneaker wise.
Ooh.
Checks or stripes, Nikes or Adidas.
Yeah, I go checks. I've been a Nike dude for a long time. So yeah, I've had other shoes, especially when I was a kid. But once I got older, I just became a Nike guy.
Okay, what's your favorite Nike? Doesn't have. I'm not going to even specify as in like what's your favorite ball shoe. What's your favorite casual shoe? Matter of fact, what's your favorite casual Nike that you just rock?
Yeah, I've always gravitated towards Forces. Nice all white. Like again, I know that's like more of the general answer, but you can't beat those. But they got tons of colors. You can match Forces with anything if you get the right color.
Yeah.
It's almost like Crayola. You know what I mean? They got Forces for everything. So yeah.
Okay, and even though I think I know the answer, I'm gonna answer this question anyway. Are you a white Air Force guy personality or a black Air Force guy personality?
Definitely white. I think. Oh, that's so funny. Definitely white though. I think we all have our black Air Force moments for certain things. Obviously, Mike. If we at the Liberty game and we facing, or if we at the Aces game and we rooting for the Liberty, you might black Air Force that day. But Knicks win a playoff series, a little more white Air Force. It's situational.
Shoot, when it comes to the Knicks, we win a playoff game strictly Tim's.
You're right. Butters every day.
When it comes to shorts, basketball shorts,
Mm-hmm.
do you like? All right, basketball shorts, long shorts or short shorts? Pretty much Michigan 92 Michigan shorts, or a matter of fact, I'll say current shorts because nobody's wearing the John Stocktons nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah, either the 92 Jordan type shorts, like the real baggy, loose, long shorts, or what one's currently now in style.
Oh, I'm definitely Fab 5. I am Fab 5. Allen Iverson. I can't always do above the knee. Like I notice, like if I'm chilling at the crib and I'm wearing shorts, like okay, I don't really care. But like if I'm hooping, I got at least at the knee. At least. I can't do. I can't do it. I understand. Like I guess you feel a little more free when they shorter, but like I told you, and you said we not, but I do think at some point I think this current NBA is going to rock them John Stockton boxer briefs because it's like the threshold is getting shorter and shorter.
It's getting there, especially with all the fashionistas.
I can't do it. Can't do it.
Now these are going to be a little bit combined, but and this is such a cheat code. But listen, we can't talk about basketball without talking about these three players. So Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Okay. LeBron or Kobe?
Kobe.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, those are self-explanatory. Like we listen. Which go? Yes, LeBron is no bigger than third.
And mind you, I was the biggest LeBron fan from like 2007 to 2010. Like I always break down like I'm surprised I've never done an episode on it on Hip to the Games. But like I can literally go on almost a year by year basis of like all my favorite players. It's insane. But yeah, so it's I don't want people to get this crazy idea. And mind you, shoot, I'm gonna be 27 next month. Technically, I should be saying LeBron. So if I'm saying Jordan, that might say something. So
Shoot. I still remember when it was all lined up. and it was supposed to be LeBron and Kobe in the finals.
Oh
And
yeah.
LeBron did not make it past the Orlando Magic. And remember, Jeezy came out with a song, 24, 23. Yup, remember me? I'm like,
It was a lot of that going around, man. It was a lot
you
of
know
that
which
going
score
around.
you had. I'm quite sure Pusha was like, yo, I could flip him for 24. I could flip him for 23.
Straight up.
And which brings us to music, rap or R&B. Which one you prefer?
Oh,
It doesn't
you
have
see,
to be any type of time range. Like currently, is there any current R&B anymore? Unless we're really digging in the crates, no. But just as a genre.
and see, even then, that's like, like is messing with me because I could go like specific with it, but I'll go with my first mind and say R&B.
Okay, and if you said specific, how you could elaborate?
So yeah, so like if you said hip hop or R&B, I would say hip hop. But
Okay,
if we
okay.
saying rap and R&B, I'm gonna go R&B. But then again, let me just do the flip side then. I think I would still say R&B because again, one of my homies, shout out my guy Martin, he reminded me one day, like when we were in college or something like that. He was, or maybe we were doing my pod or something, but he was like, you know, a lot of hip hop / rap wouldn't exist if it wasn't for R&B. And I was like, he right. And you know this, Mike. A lot of us, like, yeah, we crazy hip hop heads, but at the same time, we love a good, slow jam. We love a good, you know what I'm saying, something from Motown. You know what I mean? So like that's why I tend to gravitate towards R&B.
No, I agree with that. I agree with what you said. Your boy said,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not gonna be ashamed to say that over the last, especially the last 4 years, I've really kind of curated my ear to listen to music that probably came out when I was a baby. 'Cause I'm a '70s baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's music that my parents probably, my mom used to listen to or whatever. And I might have heard it, but didn't really hear it. Matter of fact, I might have heard it,
Yeah.
but didn't really listen to it.
Yeah.
So, and then with all these songs throughout my years, listening to hip hop and all the samples that they used
Mm-hmm.
made me go back, or I would listen to it. I'm like, oh, I would hear it, and I'm like, yo, that's where they got that from. And I just made me a fan of, like, do you know how much of Minnie Rippleton's music are in
Ooh.
Tribe Called Quest
Oh my
songs?
gosh.
Like,
That's
for me to be a hip hop head, that's what I'm saying. I'm not ashamed, but it's like, darn, but yeah, but like I said, a lot of it I was hearing it and I was engrossed in the moment.
yeah.
But now, since I got a more mature ear and just like, all right, this is stuff that I've heard over and over. Now I'm like, okay, oh,
Yeah.
like
I just had one of
listening to
those
all this
moments the other
Minnie
day.
Rippleton, and I'm like, yo, that's such and such. Yo, that's God Comes Through. Yo, that's da. Yo, that's
Yeah. I just had that moment. We was in the car the other day, and I'm like, that's the Nas Life's a B. That's this was my first time,
yes.
I would say, listening to that, like when it came on the radio, the whole song. And so in my head, I'm like keeping that Swept Vest and Street Ghetto essence inside us, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, yo, this is the real sample here. It ain't never came on the radio.
Roy Ayers. There's so many songs.
Oh my
that
gosh.
by Roy Ayers. Like, I didn't even realize, and like I said, part of me, listen, it is what it is. But Smith and Wesson, they had what was it? Welcome to Brooklyn, baby. Damn, I forgot the name of it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, that song, that which called the bass line, and I was like, I was like, yo, I was like, wow, because that was one of my joints.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So then all of a sudden I start going in the crates and start listening to all this Roy Ayers, and I'm like, yo, boom, 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 boom. Listen, at my old age, listen, I'm like I said, it's always good to keep on learning. I'm like, wow, I had no idea. the next one, second to last. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave that to last. So second to last, Eurostep or traveling?
Eurostep. But it's so I'm gonna go Eurostep. I'm gonna go Eurostep, but a lot of these folks ain't doing it right.
Yeah, that was supposed to be my trick question. Like, all right, do you want the Eurostep or do you want to get the call?
Yeah, right. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, why would I travel? But I'm like, hey,
yeah,
baby,
I'm not admitting to traveling. Eurostep, yo, that was a Eurostep. And last but not least, the being the fact we just passed on this day, and this is more pertinent than ever, especially now. 4th of July or Juneteenth?
Oh, Juneteenth.
Okay. 1 minute. Yeah, so the reason I asked that question is because it really came to my face the other day on 4th of July. And listen, I'm going to preface this by saying, listen, to each his own, fine. And this is not I'm not going to try to make this a cultural race thing or anything, but with what's going on right now in society, especially what was signed in as a bill on the 4th of July, and all the repercussions from the 4th of July, from that bill, such as cuts in Medicaid, housing, SNAP benefits, the whole nine, that's going to affect a lot of minorities, a lot of, pretty much the underserved or whatever. Why are we celebrating the 4th of July? It's all right. Even more direct, as African Americans, I can understand if we kind of celebrate Juneteenth and you have these picnics and all that kind of stuff and like at my job, it's kind of cringeworthy, and but I don't take it as malice, because some people come past, and I work in the public. People come past that day and they're like, "Happy Juneteenth," and I'm like, "Thank you." I get what you're getting at. These are non-black people. Like, I get what you're getting at, but it's not like Happy Labor Day, not like Happy Thanksgiving. And tell you the truth, probably really the opposite of Thanksgiving, because shoot, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so when I come home, and I'm gonna make this short. When I come home and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and the streets are flooded and people are putting out their Roman candles and they're doing their fireworks and everything, and I'm like, do y'all realize what just got signed earlier today? And y'all out here celebrating something that, maybe it's not as bad as it was 200 years ago, but shoot, they trying to inch back toward there. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll elaborate with this, Mike. And especially, keeping in mind of the fact, right, like it's always going to hit different, because again, even when you look at the climate that we're in right now, like, again, we're two outspoken black men on a podcast mic right now. You know what I'm saying? So people might feel some type of way about that, but I'm gonna say this. Absolutely, am I fortunate to be a part of the United States of America and all its ridiculousness? Yes, that has never not been the case.
Yeah.
And I grew up, like, shout out to my grandfather. He always made sure his grandkids knew their history, right? So when you consider the fact that now, to what you were alluding to, all of these bills and whatnot and are being changed to kind of, I don't know if this is the right word, but kind of eradicate that, right? They're going into the schools now and they're trying to make it harder, even harder, to have access to the history that we have built, the history that we should know, that especially you think of somebody like me, right? Like, obviously at some point, I would like to have a family of my own someday, and I want to be able to do the same thing that my grandfather did with me. Like, I want them to know their history, right? But now they're making that stuff harder to access. So it's more important than ever that nowadays we celebrate and we, really show up for Juneteenth. That's my takeaway. It's not, again, it's very easy to look at that and people get in their feelings about, how we feel about being in this country. I know you know that, Mike, but at the end of the day, hold on. Is this still attached to my
Yes.
mic? Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just saying.
See, SoundCloud, StreamYard, trying to censor us. We start talking about certain things, or saying you, yeah, and people think that we're not really living in the Matrix. But go ahead.
Right, man. But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I just think, that again, we gotta show that pride. We gotta show that pride. We gotta show, and we gotta keep it going for the next generation, man. Like, so that's why I say Juneteenth.
Okay. No, that's completely fair and very accurate. And I would be remiss if I didn't get that off.
Mhm.
Because like I said, as much as I like talking sports and everything, but when anything something political or just societal, more specifically, is going on and happening, and I have a chance to have this microphone in front of me and this camera on in front of me, I just feel like it's my duty to, at least give just a small, if anything, fraction of time to that, because like we got a whole bunch of an entertainment out here. So, like, all right, I'm going to entertain you and everything, and give you some information, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, like, what are we really doing here if we're just acting like everything is hunky dory and peachy clean? So
Right.
yeah. With that being said, we have finally reached the outro, the end of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making me and this here podcast the one y'all chose to listen to. First, but more importantly, I'd like to thank my partner in crime for this episode, Mr. Desmond Powell, for joining me on this very impromptu edition of the podcast. I put in my mind, I'm like, you know what? This can't go 3 hours. I would love to go 3 hours, but not going 3 hours. And I was trying to get it under 2, but I was like, you know what? When it got to a certain point, I was like, listen.
Oh, we almost got there though. We almost got
I'll
take it. I'll take it.
So I'm like, all right, it's going to be at least an hour shorter than the last one. So, so that's progress. The third time would be the charm. We could get it in a nice tidy 90 minutes. So,
yeah.
Matter of fact, enough about me. Let the public know where to find you. Let the public know about all the ventures you have, and just let the public know whatever you want to get off your chest, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, of course, first things first, Mike, I appreciate you once again. Like I said, I'm always happy to get on the seat, whether short notice or planned. I'm always going to jump on the Mike Steph pod. But you can, if you like what you're hearing at all, you can follow the podcast at Hip to the Games. That's HIP, the number 2, DAGAMES on all platforms. You can follow the Instagram and the Twitter to keep up with show announcements and social media posts, clips, teases, things of that nature. Of course, I started posting on TikTok again, so a lot of that stuff is on there as well. You can follow, obviously like and subscribe to 19 Media Group on YouTube. That's where you'll get full-length Hip to the Games episodes. All right, so all you got to do is go on there, find the playlist that's Hip to the Games, and you'll get all the full-length video episodes. But of course, you can find it on audio platforms as well. I do have a separate YouTube channel. You could just search Desmond Powell, or if you search by the handle, it would be Desmond Powell H2DG. That is more so for short form content. I haven't posted on there in a few months, actually, just because I got so into the podcast and given that full length stuff, I haven't really been in my short form bag. But that you can always subscribe to that just in case. I tried to make it a healthy balance of short form content on there and long form content on the podcast, but you can do with that what you will. Outside of that, I would just say make sure you subscribe and support the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. Support your smaller content creators. If you don't mind, Mike, you might have to catch me. I might get on a tangent, but you know, I think we're in a state where
Me worried about tangents?
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I just think we're in a different space. Something I tweeted a while back was that we're in a unique kind of climate in media where growing up, anybody that had a microphone was like ultra credentials. They were the experts. They were the professionals because they were the ones on TV. They were on the news stations, the sports channels, the whole nine. But now that we're in a day and age where everybody can have a microphone and do things that like what we're doing, a lot of people get a little. I've noticed the people getting threatened by that a little bit. And I understand it. I understand it. Not everybody needs a microphone. Trust when I tell you, I come across stuff all the time where I'm just like, oh my goodness. But at the same time, there are people like us who are really putting in the work and making these shows what they are. We don't have production teams. We don't have social media teams. You know, we got homies. We got collaborators, but we don't have production teams and social media teams and people to edit our stuff while we're at work. Like, nah, you come home from work and you on the grind. I got to fit this in before I get into my, you know, my next shift the next day, or, you know, I got to do this before so I can be ready to record 2 days from now. Like, it's all that. And I think a lot of people, especially in our space of sports and things of that nature, a lot of people get, for the first time in my life, I understand what people mean when they say people are threatened by confidence. And I think so when we confidently step into these spaces, people act like they know us. And it's easy to talk crazy on social media. It's easy to talk crazy in the comments, but you don't know our personal lives. You don't know how long Mike has been a Knicks fan. You don't know how long he's been into politics. You know, same thing with me, right? Like I've loved basketball for as long as I can remember. And so I'm getting long-winded, but I just say that to say support your people. Support these smaller shows, because everybody wants the experts to shine, but yet they don't want to support the people that are trying to get to where those people are. And granted, we are fortunate to have the opportunities to do that. So while we down here, you know, you can support while we at the top. But I think it's a lot more fun and a lot more genuine if you are there from the ground up. You know, so support your people. It takes nothing to like, comment, share. It takes nothing to referral somebody. So yeah. So, you know, if you subscribe to me, that's all great. But make sure you subscribe to my guy Mike Steph as well.
No, I appreciate that, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. You know, it's I feel like in this smaller space, the independent space, what have you, that it's more incumbent for people, especially when you collab. All right, if you collab, then you bring everybody up. You know, whether you're in a higher threshold than anybody else. You know, even some people think it's like, all right, well, I gave my time. Okay, which is more. Tell you the truth, is more sometimes it's more important than the quote unquote cosign. It's like the fact that you gave me time, whatever. All right, fine, great. You know, sometimes the combination of all right, you gave me my time, and can you give me that cosign? You know, like, I mean, if you if you don't, then I'd rather you be legitimate and just say, listen, all right, we had a nice talk, but I'm not attaching myself to you.
Just
Fine,
be 100.
follow
Just
me.
be 100. We could take it. Just be 100.
You know, but no, it really is incumbent for that to happen. And like I said, I appreciate all the support that anybody's given me over these years. I appreciate the fact that I've actually made new relationships, made friendships just through this. You know, it's something that you asked me 5 years ago. In fact, you asked me 3 years ago. I'm like, no, shoot, you're not even gonna see my face. You know,
that's how I started. That's exactly how I started. I was like, I'm gonna be underground with it. You know, I'm gonna be the face. You ain't gonna know my face, but you gonna know he spit facts. Like that was my thing.
Yeah, you know, people at work. You know, I would just show them the logo. I was like, yeah, listen to that. Who's that? Trust me, it'll sound familiar.
Right.
You know, but one last thing, and that's sure I got a promo for this guy. Yeah, this guy right here.
Hip to the Games, the podcast for you, the basketball junkie and the hip hop head. I'm your host Desmond, and I too have had hoop dreams and enjoy the beautiful genre of hip hop and its history. Together, we will enjoy some of the greatest albums, songs, artists, players, moments, teams, and so much more, while even mixing the two on occasion, all in my hope that you remember why you love both or either of these to begin with. You'll soon understand that Hip to the Games is more than just a podcast. It's a lifestyle. And if you were looking for a platform that combines both basketball and hip hop, you've come to the right place.
I swear, you talk about my theme song. Listen, I swear, one of these days I'm gonna rip that song and write to it. Speaking of writing,
shout out my guy, Unregistered User. He produced that for me. So,
see, that's what I'm saying.
I can link him with you. He'll get you a man. He could do something with for Mike Steph.
Say no more. Say less. Listen, that'll be in the works. Please, I recently dropped my mixtape, even though there's no such thing as mixtapes anymore. But I've dropped my latest project, 30 months, on SoundCloud. Yeah, because guess what? I'm not selling it. It's a collection. The reason I call it mixtape, because pretty much it's like, the old mixtape flow of, somebody beat, spit to it, and that's it. So I'm not trying to make no money off it. And listen, I'm not as savvy as trying to put a link. So therefore, I'll put it on SoundCloud. But 30 months, the premises of this. Everybody knows, hopefully everybody knows about Trials and Tribulations, which was my official EP. Detailing my trials and tribulations from a near-death experience, just an eye-opening experience, that's the best way to put it, to the current state. And then beginning of this year, I had Mike Steph, Year 2 to Understanding, which was more of a mixtape style also. But this one, I was going to say it was going to be Year 2 Part 2, but the more I got into it, I'm like, it's not really Part 2. It's not leftovers. It's just I got more to say. But as each project has come through, I've gotten more and more comfortable in my own skin. So 30 months is the equivalent of 2.5 years. So Mike Steph, 30 months on SoundCloud. Please check it out. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description. It's 6 tracks. It's supposed to be 7, but the people at Columbia, I guess, did not like me using Mobb Deep featuring Coogee Rap, The Realest instrumental, and they flagged my song. So my seventh track, and that's the lead-off track, and that kind of really
that's one of the best instrumentals, man.
Yeah, I know. Go figure. I should have did like Benny did and used the sped up version, and I probably wouldn't have got flagged. So
true.
But yeah, So we should go. Please check it out. You'll be glad you did. And with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Once again, thanks to my guy, the young OG himself, Desmond Powell. I'll be back. One note. Next week, you will be getting an episode. But I technically won't be around. Yeah. It'll be an episode. It's actually going to be what they call it nowadays, evergreen episode with me and a special guest, and I'll be on my wrestling bag and maybe some societal issue, but it will be wrestling. So you will be getting the episode next week, while I will be lamping in the shade of luxury, well, quasi luxury on a cruise. And I'm not going to say but so much because I still do live in the hood, and I'm talking real loud, and I don't need anybody knowing I'm not going to be in my habitat over the next 7 days. So with all that being said, let me get up out of here. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow or next week, quote unquote. Goodbye.